something that we really don't have a chance to do on our regular weekly visit.
That's right. And in between each episode, you'll have a chance to call this station and pledge your support. Remember, it's contributions from you and your neighbors which make it possible for us to broadcast This Old House. And remember, too, that you'll only find This Old House on public television. So I hope we'll be hearing from you with your pledge. Now, let's get started with the first of the 5 episodes in this special edition of This Old House. Let's watch.
Presentation of This Old House is made possible by Weyerhaeuser, providers of building materials, services, and other products that help Americans live better at the same address. Weyerhaeuser.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome to This Old House. If you've been watching for the last 6 weeks, you know that we've been involved in redoing part of an old Cape Cod-style house that was too small. We took part of the back roof off and put in a shed dormer, and we created a nice master bedroom, suite, and bath. The interesting thing was that we involved the owners. The young couple who bought the house also provided a lot of their own talent and time, sweat equity, which is the thing that really makes lots of these projects feasible. Well, now we're ready to show you our second candidate right over here. Again, we're looking at a tired 55-year-old house. This one, architect designed, lots of nice features to it, and it's a good solid brick house. The young couple that bought it have one small problem with it. They need more space. Let's meet them and take a little bit of a tour. Hello?
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Fine.
Well, tell me first off, how long have you been in the house now?
We've been here about 3 months now.
Just 3 months.
Yes.
So you have managed to do some prettying up, like the
Yes.
garden and the plants and so forth.
Yes,
But
so we had to put a few things around just to make it look lived in for us.
this is not a starter home for you, though, right?
No, this is our second home. We were in our first home about 9 years. We needed to find something that was a little bit more solidly built and a little bit more room. The other house was hard to add on to.
Okay. Now, the condition of this house was not exactly A+, though, right?
No, it needed a lot of care. When we came and looked on the outside, it needs a lot of paint, and it had a lot of dry rot. And the bushes were quite overgrown. You couldn't even see the brickwork.
So you've already ripped everything out
yes,
from around
we did.
here.
We wanted to clean up for the fall.
It's an interesting house, though. It has a good deal of character.
Yes, it does.
The overhangs up here are something to be happy about.
It adds quite the English character to the house.
Well, it also will protect you from the downpours that we tend to get in October and November.
Yes, it does. It stops the washouts from the garden.
Yeah. So what's happening over here on your front steps?
We tried to just patch the steps, and we found out that they should be ripped all the way down now. So that's what we're involved in doing. We've had to call someone in to help us. So hopefully that'll be done in a couple of weeks before the winter sets in.
Definitely need some help.
Yes,
but
they do.
For a front doorway, it's a very nice one, you know.
Yes, it has a lot of detail work to it.
That's what you call a broken pediment with a scroll?
Yes, it is.
Kind of a Dutch design feature.
Yes.
There's a nice light here, probably the original one.
We're hoping to have that rebrassed. We have to take that down.
Do you only have a storm door? I don't see any door in there.
Yes, the front door we had to send out to be stripped. It had about 10 layers of paint, and it had the old lead glass on the top. So we'd like to keep the door.
Sure, absolutely.
It adds character to the home.
What's happening over here?
Over here, we got involved in doing some column work. We had hoped it was only dry rot in a few columns, but realized it was carpenter ants. So we decided, since we got involved, we did them all at once.
And this is meant to be a screen porch,
Yes, it's a summer porch, and it's quite nice, and we have the screens being rescreened now.
Okay, so you'll probably be all set by the time winter gets here.
Yes,
it's a beautiful,
just the time to come out.
Beautiful side yard you've got.
Yes, it's small, but yet it's an English-style gardens, and hopefully with the brickwork we're going to put in next spring, we'll put all the perennials in the landscaping.
Now, behind you, when I look at this facade, that would scare off a lot of buyers. I mean, those clapboards up there look pretty awful.
Yes, in fact, when we came to look at the house, there were a couple of young couples before us going through the homes, and the remarks were they were scared of the outside. My husband and I knew it was just a lot of paint peeling and dry rot, so we had a carpenter come out and help us decide which clapboards had to be replaced. And then the major thing was finding the 10-inch clapboards.
Yes. Not an easy material to find.
No, but we had called all around, and we did find them right here in the local area, which was quite nice.
What about the roof shingles? Are they new?
The roof is about 5 years old, we were told. It's in pretty good shape. We had it checked out when we first moved in.
So you probably don't have to worry about
very
that.
Well, yes.
I notice you have copper gutters, but they don't look too terrific.
No, they've been banged up. When whoever did the roof and other work on the house, they would just set the ladders up against it. So they're in bad shape. They're not leaking, but we probably will take them down and think of something else to put up right now to neaten up the edge of the house.
Generally a good solid house, but
Yes.
it needs a lot of cosmetic work.
Yes, it does.
How about the inside? Can we take a look?
Sure, come on in. Come into the living room, Bob.
Oh, it's a nice size.
Yes, it's quite light and airy with all the windows. And
Nice mantelpiece.
yes,
Good sized fireplace.
and we were quite sold on the bookcases in this room.
Yeah.
Gave us extra storage and
Yeah.
places to show things.
You've already been doing some work in here, though.
Yes, we have. We put all new ceilings in the first floor.
And the wallpaper's been stripped down.
Yes, we're starting to.
What about the floors? Have you refinished them?
We did when we moved in. They seem to be in pretty good condition.
Nice oak. Best kind of floor to
Yes.
have, yeah.
Yes,
And here we have our center entrance hall.
yes.
Very nice staircase with the mahogany handrail and the volute.
Really nice detailing.
Hi, how are you?
This is my husband, Ben.
Bob Vila.
Nice to meet you, Bob.
Nice house you got here.
Thank you. Has Debbie given you a tour?
Well, we're just getting started, really.
What do you think so far?
Oh, it's a very nice house.
Great, great. Have you seen the lavatory?
No.
One of I show you to, it's one of my pet projects.
What have you got going in here?
Well, we were impressed with the unique style of the sink and how
Yes.
well maintained it was, and it's original to the house. I took the old fixtures, had them de-chromed and lacquered, and I think it looks just right.
They're beautiful, yeah. No, a lot of people make the mistake of getting rid of an old lavatory sink like that and trying to modernize it, and that's the best
They do,
thing
but
you
we
could
saved
have.
an awful lot of money by doing it this way.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, you've got a nice entrance hall here, too. And how many rooms in the house all told?
There are 7.
7-room house, that's not bad. Yeah. And a formal dining room.
Yes.
Yes, we enjoy a dining room.
Nice detailing in here also. Those corner cupboards are
Yes,
real special.
we were very impressed by the curved glass, too, on the top of them. And it gives me extra storage down below.
Sure, they're very New England.
It's something we would have had to have done in the other house, but this makes it nice.
In the house you were living in previously, you were
Previously.
planning on doing that?
Exactly the same.
Well, you got it all set here.
Here's our kitchen, Bob.
Oh, this is very nice.
As you see, it's a little bit outmoded, but
Well, here's something I like from 50-year-old houses, the kind of the breakfast nook.
It's quite nice for the children in
enjoy
the
it.
morning.
Sure, it's very nice.
The cabinets
What about
are
the
original.
cabinets? You figure they're original?
we're fairly certain they're original. They're wood. We plan on having them stripped.
Yes.
And do a minor facelift, cosmetic in here only.
Sure. Eventually you can change the color of the
Change the-
countertops if you're
absolutely.
crazy about it and that sort of thing. How about upstairs?
Fine, I'm glad to show you right now.
Okay. You know, I'm impressed. It seems like you're tackling every project in the place, from stripping wallpaper to refinishing wood and so forth.
We are doing quite a bit. Actually, I think it is that we're fearless. If we had thought about some of these projects and how long they may take, we might not have jumped in so fast. But we'll try anything once.
Sure, that's the only way to learn. Well, where do we get started here?
How about the bedroom?
Sure. It's big?
Big,
Yes.
a lot of windows,
Yes.
and bright.
Well, it's right over the living room, and it's about the same size as the living room.
Same dimensions, yes.
It's terrific. What do you have out through there?
We have a door to a sun deck
Right
that
over
we're
the
working
screen
on now.
porch.
Yes,
That'll need a little work, but eventually that could be a nice little retreat in the summer.
yes.
Place to read a
Quite
book.
nice.
We have plenty of closet space up here, which we like.
This is unusual.
Very unusual sink in the bedroom.
Yes.
We think it's original to the house. It was in terrible condition.
So what have you done with it?
We had it re-enameled by a company that specializes in doing this.
Refinishing the porcelain.
Refinishing the porcelain.
Do they guarantee that kind of work?
They do give a guarantee.
Yes,
And
for
what
a year.
what did you pay to have it done?
About $70?
About 70.
That's well worth it.
Definitely
Yeah.
worth it.
And what have you done in here?
Here's the bath. We
Back,
again
we've done the same.
Another sink that you also had refinished?
Yes.
added new faucets to this one, and we
And
had
the
the tub
tub we
done.
had refinished also.
It looks beautiful.
It does.
It's
And-
very sensible because the cost of new plumbing fixtures.
Astronomical.
Yeah.
That's right. And it also meant getting involved with the tile work, which we didn't want to do at this point.
So there's nothing left to do in here except cosmetic.
Cosmetic and
That's
decorating, that's
Yeah.
it.
That's right.
Change
Very
the
good.
color scheme perhaps.
And this door here leads back off to the
Back
hall.
into the hall. Why do you suppose they have 2 doors on the bathroom?
Well, there are 4 bedrooms and only 1 bathroom on this floor, so some compromises had to be made.
Okay, yeah.
Here's our
And-
daughter's room.
Very nice.
Nice, airy, large.
I love this kind of room, though, with the dormers and the eaves
We do,
lines
too.
and everything. It'll be real pretty when you get the wallpapers up.
But as you can see, with the child and toys, it starts to crowd in.
Yeah,
Gets cluttered.
yeah. And so there's 2 more rooms up here.
This is our son's room.
It's a small room.
Smallest,
Yes, it is.
smallest of the bedrooms.
You got a small son.
Right? Again, though, you can see with furniture in the room, with the toys, we're getting closed in. And this is what we don't want.
But then you've got an extra room.
We do.
Yes,
We have
we
a TV room, a den.
Oh, this is terrific.
Small. Here's where we spend most of our time, though.
So what's the problem? Why do you need another playroom?
I don't enjoy coming upstairs to sit down and watch TV or read. I prefer something away from the children.
Yeah. You
And-
need the privacy.
Yeah,
Also
Very-
for a guest room.
yeah.
Yes.
So you could
And-
use this for a guest room.
Yes.
In a sewing room of that nature, and then we can have a playroom where we can allow the children to play without afraid of scratching the floors and damaging things.
Looks like
And
the basement is your only
it's the only
alternative.
other room we have.
Why don't we go take a look?
Fine, be glad to show you.
If you don't mind, boys, I think I'm going to have to run on an errand.
Okay.
Okay?
Well, you've got a good set of stairs for starters.
We do.
And the first thing that I notice is that you've got lots of headroom down here, so that's a big plus.
It is a plus. We have a dry basement, too.
Why don't you give me a little bit of a tour of what
Fine,
you got
I will.
down here?
Bob, over here is our heating system. It's fairly new, less than a year old.
Looks brand new, yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the reasons we bought the house.
I don't blame you.
Over behind this wall here, we have the laundry room. Has a washer, dryer, and a soapstone sink.
Super.
Fine as it is.
And a nice little workshop in here.
Small. I will be elaborating on it at a further time.
Well, at least you got a nice bench. and
Somewhere to work.
Yeah, lots of tools. And this is it, right?
This is the room. This is what we want to try and work with.
You've got plumbing, you've got an old toilet in here.
We
already.
do. We do.
Working shape and everything, right?
We're pretty sure it works fine.
Well, that's a nice
So we'd like to update this.
Well, sure, yeah. Okay.
And over here, Bob, we have the base of the fireplace. We would have liked to have put a fireplace in down here. Unfortunately, we find out it can't be done.
Why?
One flue coming down, and the cost of doing it would be prohibitive.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to spend that much money. What's in here?
This is a storage closet. Good size, well organized, but especially it's a window.
It's got a nice window in there.
Right.
And that's
We need
something
light.
that you really have to consider when you're building down
Absolutely.
below ground like this. Well, then you'd probably want to remove this wall and just forget about this storage closet. And
I think so.
have storage elsewhere.
I think so.
Got a nice window the same size over here.
Light will be very important down
You know,
here.
you paint those window wells white so that they reflect a lot of the light in here.
Right.
And, you know, it helps also. This is going to be a problem.
Yes, it is. Our oil storage tank, it's ugly. It takes up space, especially being horizontal.
Have you called a plumber in yet?
Yes, I have. I've called Mike Sapino from Sapino Heating.
He's your plumber?
He should be along somewhat shortly to
Oh,
take a look
good,
at this.
yeah. No, because, I mean, especially on its side like this, it takes up so much room.
Well, also, Bob, there's a problem. Sometimes you smell oil,
Yeah.
and we don't want that. We like to move it away from this area here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it probably can be done. I don't know what it would cost. These steel support columns could be a problem also, although...
They can,
structurally-
although they have to be here. We have to hold up the first floor.
Yeah, well, we have to, you know,
Work
talk
around it.
layout and see what could be done with them. This
This
a
is
big-
something.
Yeah, you know, sometimes people will refinish a basement and leave these old heating pipes exposed. but
I don't care for that. No. No, I'd like to somehow raise them or move them or do something with them.
And if you've always, did somebody have a rec room down here at one point? I see
Apparently,
you've got ceiling tiles all over
apparently
the
they
place.
did. They're mismatched. This we want to get rid of.
There's your
Here's
plumber.
Mike now, the pump.
Good. Oh, we've got a number of things to ask him. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Bob.
How are you?
Mike, how are you?
Benny?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We have been discussing the potential for making this into a family room, and we were just talking about you, because this seems to be one of the big problems. What would it take to move an oil storage tank like this to, say, the other end of the house, put it close to the furnace?
Oh, let me take a look. Since you're talking cutting these pipes and repiping it and rehooking up the oil line, draining the tank, it's no problem. It can be done.
You do it all the time,
Quite a bit.
occasionally?
Yeah, and let's say, geez, $250 anyway.
Reasonable.
What about the piping up overhead? I mean, he's got a brand new furnace, it seems, but they didn't do anything with the heating pipes when they put the furnace in. Can they be put up higher in the ceiling, or should they be replaced?
No, well, they should be replaced. If you're going to do a finished basement here, what they had here was old gravity hot water system. We can replace it with 1-inch pipe and get it close to the ceiling. And, oh, you're talking,
It's a big job, isn't it? Aren't you talking a lot of money?
oh, you're talking, yeah, a few bucks here. You're talking about breaking off all these elbows where they go up into the joists and reconnecting in and readapting. And you got to go all the way back down to this boiler. You're going to have to put a flow valve here, a balancing valve to control the other half of the house.
Yeah.
And,
What's a ballpark figure on that kind of work?
oh, 2 men, good day. I'd say close to $1,000 anyway, ballpark figure.
But that would give you a totally new heating system.
Certainly would.
Yeah. We were just looking at this. You know, check this out, Mike. There's an original toilet in here. What would the chances be of adding a lavatory in there?
Geez, there's no problem at all. I can say your lavatory would be above the drainage line, so you wouldn't have any problem there.
How about a shower out here, Mike?
If you're talking a shower, you're talking a lot more labor, a lot more expense as far as trenching down, and you may run into some complications, depending on how thick this floor is.
I don't think you need a shower.
I think I agree.
In a playroom.
Yeah. Well, Mike, one of the things that's going to be very obvious, we have the family room, we need heat. We have to have some type of heat down here, radiators or something.
What I suggest that you do is run a loop all the way around the house with copper baseboard, with its own thermostat, its own pump, and
Create a new zone down
create
here.
a new zone altogether, separate
Yeah.
from the house, independent.
What kind of money are we talking about for a new zone down here?
Well, let me just take a fast look.
Looks to be about 30 feet from the furnace to this end of the house.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about 30 feet of pipe. The materials, let's say $600 for the material and a couple $100 at least for labor and wiring. That's a ballpark figure. Now, it depends on how you're going to lay out the room. Now, the insulation and whatnot and the design. If the more insulation you put in, naturally, the less heat you have to put in here.
Well, it's not an option. It has
No,
to be done.
you got to have heat.
I think, Mike, we'll get a set of plans to you so you can work up some definite figures on it.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, the first thing we've got to do is get not a set of plans as much as a layout
design,
and scheme.
some layout.
And I took a look earlier at a very interesting remodeling of a basement in a community not far from here. Let's take a look at that.
Fine, I'd like to.
Well, Judy, you've done a beautiful job of decorating this home.
Thank you, Bud.
What was
Nice.
the motivation for having to put in a playroom downstairs?
Well, we have a typical center entrance colonial living room, dining room, den, and I needed a place for stuff. I needed games and a family recreation center. So I'll show you
Okay.
what we've done here. This is the entrance.
Oh.
Please come.
Remodeling idea. So this has been in a major shelter magazine
Yes,
now.
Better Homes and Gardens came and photographed it.
Oh, this is terrific.
Thank you. Bright, cheery,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of fun.
You wouldn't really know you're in the basement.
I hope not, because that was the main thing. I didn't want to
Yeah.
feel like people were underground. It was dreary and...
What was it
you know,
like?
The worst. It was ooky plywood paneling on here, this corrugated thing, which we painted, and I think it has a very nice technique. And look in here.
That's what it was like?
That's what it was like. That's what it was like. And the corrugation was here, and it was all stained brown, and there was an asphalt tile floor on it. Not very nice.
Very unattractive,
Very
I would say.
unattractive.
You've
Very
done
unattractive.
a terrific job. What about the function of the space down here?
Well,
what
that
were
was
your
the main
considerations?
thing. We compartmentalized. I spent a great deal of time planning out, prior to doing this, what we needed as a family. And in this area, I built in a desk unit, so if the kids wanted to do something,
Homework or
or a project or something like that, and they had books, display shelves. And then we went, this was for games. This was for games.
But I see you've got the screen in place right over the window here.
Right, because my husband's a photographer and he loved photography. So I put the screen there, and we put all his slides in here, and his equipment is under here.
And you can just set it up right over there
Sets
and
it up
project.
right here, shows it, plugs it in,
Yeah.
and it's easy. And we all sit here in the gallery and
Nifty.
applaud him.
Now, what about storage space? It looks like you took this whole outside wall and have really used it for storage.
I cut down living space because I felt that I needed storage space. So we put everything on the bifold doors, and each child has the closet.
Yeah.
And this is my daughter's closet, and she has her dolls and all her toys. And I can pick up the mess and stuff it in and close it off, and it makes it very, very nice.
Yeah.
Like
And then these must be bigger closets over
these
here?
were bigger. This was a closet that I put in because I like things, and these were all things that I had for table settings, and I didn't have space for upstairs.
So it's almost like your hobby room in here.
Yeah, and it's very organized.
Yeah.
I know where I want to get decanters, I know where I want to get salad bowls, and everything's right here. So then what we did is, this goes to the garage.
Okay.
You should know, this goes to the garage. I put cocoa matting here, so they wipe their feet.
Cocoa mat is a terrific thing to have at the front door, and it lasts forever, doesn't it?
It's terrific.
Yeah.
It's marvelous. And then they have a coat closet that they come in, hang their coats, throw their boots in, and this makes life very easy. I don't have them tracking dirt.
What about putting down wall-to-wall carpeting in the whole space? Weren't you concerned about humidity? I mean, you've got a slab underneath, don't you?
No, I put a mildew-proof padding underneath the carpet, and I think it's a necessity because I can have the kids sleep over in sleeping bags here, and we lie on the floor, and we play games on the floor, and I think it adds to your seating space.
Yeah, and it warms up the room.
And to the ease of housekeeping. But let's never forget that.
Then the adults have almost a full office space here, don't they?
Yeah, this was another prime focus point, that we needed to have an at-home office. We do a lot of work at home on the weekends. And at the time, my daughter was little, and I wanted to be in the same room with her, be able to work, but have her playing in an area and be in the same room. And that's what this does. We have the files, the full file cabinets, all these compartmentalized areas for papers and whatnot. And we spend time here. Sundays, we can be working at a desk, have the fire going.
Sure. The fireplace was already here?
The fireplace was here.
That's super.
We just cleaned it up and utilized it.
What about your choice of colors? I mean, you've used a very stark white.
Yeah, very stark, so that it would be light and bright and really make one enjoy when it's up down here. I just didn't want to go into the concept of the paneled playroom that people did in the 50s. I didn't want it. I wanted to feel like we were not below ground and that we had a gay atmosphere.
Yeah, well, the Kelly green and the reds and the blues and all that really make it work.
And of course, my daughter was little at the time, so I wanted primary colors
Sure.
so that it would be happy. But I wouldn't change that.
There isn't anything that you would have done differently?
I think I would have put in a more sophisticated video system where I'm doing it now, so that I had the widescreen and all that electronic equipment was not around at the time. And although we have the VCR out at this point, I think I would have built a cabinet and you know, taped in the stereo and done those things, which I could still do.
Sure, you could convert the corner over there. Well, listen, really, I appreciate being able to come in and take a look, because it definitely gives us some ideas about what we're going to do with our own little project right now.
Well, you're very kind to say so, and I'm delighted to have you. I wish you luck on your project.
Thank you.
Good.
Well, how'd you like that?
I was very impressed, Bob. It's a very light and airy room, functional.
It doesn't feel like a basement
No.
romp room or anything like
No,
that. Yeah.
and it gives each person of the family an area to go to.
I like the storage.
Yeah.
Well organized.
A lot of storage.
A lot of
What's
storage.
impressive is that it's a 10-year-old renovation of that basement. They haven't found any need to change anything. The family has grown up, and they're still using it on a day-to-day basis. Now, you have a lot of changes to make in this kind of space. This is an older house than that one was and so forth. And one of the things you've got to seriously consider is what to do about the oil storage tank.
I think we've made up our mind, Bob. I think we should move the oil tank.
I do.
You think it's in your budget?
Yes, I do. I really
It's well worth doing.
I'm not sure. The price is high.
The pipes, it's a lot of money to spend, but you have to keep in mind that you've already got a brand new furnace, and maybe you should consider at this time having a whole brand new
It's something we'll have to consider.
including the pipes.
What can we do with the ceiling?
Well, the ceiling that you've got is pretty useless. Obviously, half of it's already fallen down. Most people that remodel basement space will put in a suspended ceiling where the tiles can be popped carefully out of place on the grid, so that if you have to get to do any work, wiring or plumbing, anything that's up there, it can be done easily.
One of the things I liked was the floor. I am leaning towards a rug now.
Well, as she said, it makes it a lot more livable to be able to use the floor space as seating space, kids playing games and all of that. It is something that you have to consider.
Something we'll have to consider.
Something we have to
And-
consider. My feeling still is I'd like to have a scatter rug that you roll up and take out, but we'll have to discuss that.
Well, we'll talk more about that. What about your wall treatments in here?
I think a simple wall treatment with studding, insulation, and some type of dry goods on the wall, bright. Treat the windows.
Yeah, the ticket is you want to have the thickness of a stud wall here so that you can add insulation.
Absolutely.
Because the tighter and the warmer the space is, the less it'll cost you to heat it. You do have some neat things going on here, like this space in here. Which,
I like the idea of storage and book shelving in here and maybe on both sides.
yeah, you could do it on both sides, or you could turn one of them into a closed closet like she had over there, where you can, don't worry about what it looks like, kind of. It,
Yeah,
it
so the
gets
children
hidden
put their
behind the
games
door.
and things in too.
And then the other one could be open for display and for...
I think definitely this has to go.
I think so, because you want to have the benefit of this daylight coming into the space, you know, and the more daylight you can get in here, the better off you are.
Absolutely, Bill.
Now, the rest of the space here is also something to consider. I mean, once we take all this stuff out of here, you'll see that it feels bigger. But, for example, this lavatory is something you really should expand so that there's a sink as well as a toilet. And if you remove this little wooden partition and kind of take over the space where the ladder is in here, that's the extra 2 feet that you need for the whole space. But now, we've got to figure out how we're separating this new living space that you've gotten from this utility space behind me over here.
Will we have some type of entrance situation?
Well, that's just the key, yeah, because you want to be able to come from the kitchen up there down these nice steps and feel like you're still in living space, in the house. You don't want to feel like you're in the basement. So perhaps what you should do is, let me use these to illustrate, put a wall across there and a wall across in this direction so that you've got an L here. And on this wall, have a door
I see.
that leads into the utility space. But let this be a blank storage wall.
With shelving or something. in this
Shelving, cabinets, whatever. It could also, if you don't take the pipes out, it could also come straight up and hide these pipes.
So we would be
That's
entering into the lavatory area from around this way.
Right, this would end here, turn the corner, and also hide this column. And then you'd create a separate alcove in front of the lab,
All right.
which gives you the potential for all sorts of other uses.
Counter and a sink, perhaps?
You could have another sink and call it the bar. Or you could do
Or
a
a children's
combination,
situation.
exactly, a children's wet area where they play with, you know, whatever their watercolors or whatever. And you could have additional storage in here. There's lots of things to think about, but have you been thinking a lot about the budget?
We have, but I'll let Debbie talk about the budget.
I think we've talked about it, and I think the budget allows $10,000, but we'd like to get it down if we could, because we do have many more projects on this house to finish up, as you've seen.
But we don't have a plan yet to work from, so a design.
Well, I
and that'll be
think-
put in plan.
I think that's the ticket. I think you're wise. I think what we ought to do right now is sit back at the drawing board over here and get some ideas on paper. We're running out of time for this week. Join us again next week. Till then, I'm Bob Vila for This Old House.
Presentation of This Old House is made possible by Weyerhaeuser, providers of building materials, services, and other products that help Americans live better at the same address. Weyerhaeuser.
Don't go away. We're going to watch the Benedettis finish their family room. But before we do that, every This Old House viewer should be a contributor to this station. We'll be back in a few minutes with the next episode in this special 5-program edition of This Old House. In the meantime, please call now and make your pledge.
Thank you, Bob Vila. Do call now and make your pledge. It's a beautiful day outside, but don't let that deceive you. It's going to get cold again before this winter's out, and so take notes on how to redo your basement into a family room. It's a great program. There are 5 programs. Don't go away. 215-923-1234. We got some terrific people here from Coldwell Banker to take your pledges, and I want to tell you a couple of things. First, every subscription, every pledge of $35 or more, we will send you a copy of Homeowner Magazine, which describes each of the home time programs that come through WHYY here that you've been watching along with This Old House for the last several weeks. The Homeowner Magazine with special description of each home time. In fact, right there on the cover is yours, absolutely free, with a pledge of $35 or more. Now, I also wanted to say, to apologize to you for the confusion that there was last week on the last 2 episodes of This Old House. We were caught unawares. It was our fault, but we were caught unawares, and we will bring those episodes to you in their entirety right later in March. They're coming to you. We're sorry there was that confusion, but that did happen, and we apologize to you for it. For a pledge of $50, we want you to get a pair of TV12 work gloves. They say TV12 WHYY shows me how. It's $50. They're yours. They're fabulous. Whoop, there they are. It says TV12 right down there. They're terrific gloves and very sturdy. Leather with cloth on them. Give us a call for that. But the most important thing is you give us a call for this terrific program, this series of programs, an experiment we're doing, quite frankly. And as you notice, we say that quite often because really everything we do to a certain extent is an experiment. We're constantly trying new things. What we're trying now is this 5-part series, and we need your support. We need you to give us a call. There are a number of people who are busy, but there are a number of people who aren't. So please give us a call, 215-923-1234. If you're in Delaware, call us at 302-575-1411. The important thing is that you give us a call of support for TV12. These gloves are comfortable as well, and help us out. So 215-923-1234. I'll be back in a minute, but here with some very interesting premiums is Mark Vogelsang.
Thanks very much, David. Yes, absolutely. Homeowner Magazine comes to you a free subscription right now when you call. That's in addition to when you call with the Applause magazine, that's yours for a pledge of $35 at 923-1234. But a free edition of Homeowner Magazine, the special companion to the PBS series Home Time at 923-1234. That's with a pledge of $35. For a pledge of $36, we have our coupon power book. This is at 923-1234. But for every pledge, you're going to get the Applause magazine for a pledge of $35 and the coupon power book. If you'd like to be a little bit more generous, David Othman mentioned this, and these are our special work gloves, and they're terrific. The WHYY Shows Me How work gloves for a pledge of $50. That's yours when you call at 923-1234. I'm going to put these gloves on, and believe me, these are fantastic. You'll love these. You'll love working in the garden with these gloves, but you have to call with a pledge of $50 at 923-1234. Now, I have something even more special right now with a pledge. It's called our Home Time Video Package. With that video package, for a pledge of $100, you're going to get three, count them, 3 Home Time videos. And they include the common home repair, interior paint and wallpaper, and hand and power tools. It is a great, great, great collection. It's yours. It's a fantastic bargain as well for a pledge of $100. But you have to call now at 923-1234. Say yes to public television, say yes to TV12, and say yes to Home Time and This Old House. This Old House, I guess, is more than anything else, is a tremendous way of saying yes that everybody in the Delaware Valley knows how to do it as well. When you call with a credit card pledge as well, we're going to send you the WHYY license plate holder. That is absolutely free, as you see right there, but you have to use your credit card. So use your credit card, MasterCard, Visa, American Express. When you call at 923-1234, we will throw this in absolutely free. So it's a great deal right now. We have a terrific lineup and still to come, so call right now at 923-1234. Here, as promised, is David Othman.
Thank you, Mark. Give us a call. The phones are busy. There's still some people that are not busy, though, so 215-923-1234. What you're seeing revealed behind me is our overall goal for this pledge drive, $1.2 million. We're doing very well, and I'll give you an update in just a couple of seconds. Here it comes. Here is the update. Where are we now? We are at over $500,000. Thank you very much. We're coming close on the halfway mark, and that's only because of your great support that we're this far. Keep those calls coming. 215-923-1234. The premiums that Mark mentioned are fabulous. The 3 Home Time cassettes are absolutely superb. They're terrific cassettes. We've watched them. They're not just half-hour shows. They vary from 45 to a minute to an hour and 15 minutes long, and they are yours for a pledge of $100. The sander and the heat gun are also terrific. It's a terrific bargain. 2 of them for $100 is a great bargain. And of course, Applause and the single copy of Homeowners Magazine comes to everybody who pledges $35 or more. And of course, please put it on a credit card. It's just the most efficient way to do it, and we really appreciate it when you do that. Now, make a pledge now and build a much better future for TV12.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. You know, a strong foundation is just as important for a public television station as it is for an old house. And that's why it's vital for you to become a TV12 subscriber and help your public TV station build for the future. Subscribe today. Thank you.
And it's very simple to do at 923-1234. That's the number to call. We're excited here in the studio because we have some tremendous bargains. With me now, joining me here in the studio is Bernard Doog. Bernard, hello, it's good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Now, you've got a wonderful accent. Where are you from?
Mark, I'm originally an Australian. I've been in America for 7 years now, and I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, that's great to have you here. Now, who do you represent? You've got some folks from Coldwell Banker, right?
Yes, we have some of our associates, managers, and staff of Coldwell Banker Delaware Valley here with us this evening, and we're very happy to be here to support you.
Is there any particular reason why you and Coldwell Banker enjoy watching public television? Anyone particular?
Well, I think the show you have on right now, This Old House, is a fabulous device for us being in the real estate industry.
Right.
And of course, it motivates a lot of people to come and ask for homes.
Absolutely.
And we feel that as being part of the public, we'd like to give back in terms of time and effort, as we're doing today, to help you folks doing such a super job here.
It's great to have you here. And any particular favorites?
My favorites are This Old House, of course, The Frugal Gourmet, and of course Wall Street Week and Washington Week and Reviews on the line.
Keep you up on the business world, which is important in today's economic climate.
We have to.
Well, thanks so much for coming by. I really appreciate
Thank you, Mark. It's our pleasure.
Appreciate you being here, and want to remind you to keep calling right now at 923-1234. We'll be here all night, right, with the folks from Coldwell Banker, and we've got lots and lots and lots of volunteers here to take your phone call. So call with your pledge of support. Bernard will be here. You can answer a few phones as well?
Very definitely.
All right.
Very definitely.
We'll put you to work as well.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
you being here. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks again. Call now with your pledge of support at 923-1234. Don't forget, it's vitally important that we hear from you. Your support is needed right now. We have much, much more of Home Time still to come. I'm sorry, This Old House still to come. We have the Home Time video cassettes for a pledge of $100. 3 Home Time video cassettes, which is a tremendous bargain for a pledge of $100. We have the gloves. We have the special homeowners magazine, but it's yours when you call 923-1234. As you see, the phones are busy here in the studios, and we have a special edition of This Old House. We're actually watching the repair of that basement right now. As you watch, we're going to go back to that in just 30 seconds. Just enough time for you to go to the phone and make a pledge of support. You can call Collect if you'd like at 215-923-1234. Put it on your credit card. It works just a little bit easier for us here at TV12. Thanks to all of you who have called so far. Keep calling. Vitally important that we hear from you right now at 923-1234. From all of you who have called so far, thank you so much. Keep calling. We'll be here all night long, and enjoy the show.
Your pledge at 215-923-1234 will help keep the great programming right here on subscriber-supported TV12. Come see Dean Johnson and Joanne Liebler of Home Time and meet Susan from Sesame Street at the Delaware Showcase Spring Home, Garden, and Consumer Exposition, March 18th, 19th, and 20th at the Brandywine Raceway, Wilmington.
Thanks for your contribution to public television. Now let's rejoin the Benedettis for the second episode of this special edition of This Old House.
Presentation of This Old House is made possible by Weyerhaeuser, providers of building materials, services, and other products that help Americans live better at the same address. Weyerhaeuser.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome to This Old House. If you joined us last week, you know that we've gotten started with our second project. This is a 56-year-old architect-designed house. A young family recently bought it, and they're doing all sorts of work on it, stripping the outside woodwork and so forth. It's a spacious house, but one thing that it was lacking is a family room. And one asset that it has is a spacious basement. So we're helping them get started turning that basement space into a family room. Now, yesterday I dropped in on them, and it was not a beautiful day like today. It was pouring cats and dogs, and they were just wrapping up the demolition work, not without incident. Well, in just a few more days, we'll have a beautiful paneled room down here. But let's see what's going on. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Hi, Norm. How are you? Well, you've gotten a lot done this weekend.
We were busy over the weekend.
You got the ceiling all torn out, what was left of it.
The ceiling was fairly simple. Debbie and I just pulled down the ceiling blocks. They were the small
those
1-foot blocks, and the strapping came right down. No major problems.
Good. And over here in the corner, you've managed to get rid of that old jelly closet that you had in there.
Right, Bob. If you remember, the jelly closet went from here all the way down
to the corner.
This was all shelving in here with another closet, a door, And again, as you can see, all shelving all the way
Yeah,
down.
it was just a bunch of boards. That couldn't have been too much trouble, right?
It was a lot harder than we expected.
Why?
All the woodwork was spiked together using cut nails.
Oh, it was original.
Spiked onto the concrete. It was a little harder than we thought it was going to be.
You've still got a couple of nails left up there. You know, when we start rough wiring, you want to make sure that's all cleaned up.
I'll work on that.
What'd you do with the debris?
Well, we had to cut the debris so we can get it out of the basement.
Yeah.
We took it down board by board, carried it outside, and stored it on the front yard, and we had to hire a truck to take it away.
Oh, you did? The town won't pick it
The town
up?
will not pick up building supplies.
How much did the truck cost you?
A pickup truck cost us $60.
That's kind of steep.
Very steep. We're considering a dumpster.
Yeah. What did you do over here in the corner where you had that big old fuel oil tank that was hooked up to your furnace?
Well, we agreed with you, Bob, that it should be moved. So we purchased a new tank, moved it over to the other side of the basement. And this now gives us a nice
Additional
seating
space.
area here, which will fit right in with our plans down here.
Super. That's terrific. And you've gotten all the other partitioning, or the board wall that was up here in
Yes,
this
just
end of
again,
the
it was
room.
the simple petition wall, and we moved it.
The plumber's already been in here putting new copper?
This was unexpected.
Oh, what happened?
Well, taking down the petition wall, which ran right along here,
Yeah.
I was pulling a board.
Yeah.
I pulled, it snapped off, and hit the brass pipe, which was very brittle.
And it broke it?
Water was spurting all over. Down
Spraying
here.
on top of it?
Spraying all over the place.
And couldn't you shut it off down there?
Very simply, I went down to the shutoff, and I found out we do not have a shutoff on the inside of the water main.
You did not have one.
So I went to the shutoff that was on the street side of the main.
Yeah.
And it was rusted closed.
Oh my, so weren't you flooding in here?
We were flooding.
When did this happen?
Sunday night.
Sunday night. What did you do?
We first called the city water department.
Yeah.
And on a Sunday night, there wasn't anything they could do.
Really?
So we were working, water was pouring down. It was starting to get a little bit deeper. Fortunately, we were saved. We have a large sump, fairly deep.
But that could handle all the water that was coming in here?
It handled most of it. I puttied the leaks where I could with a plumber's putty.
Yeah.
And it stopped it somewhat.
Yeah.
But it was starting to fill up the hole, and we had to let it run till Monday morning at 7 o'clock.
You're off to a roaring start. Congratulations.
Our water bill will be a little higher this month.
Yes, I would think so. Well, but at least you've got the space that's going to be your half bathroom in place, and you've got the...
Yeah.
Oh, Ben, what happened here?
While swinging the sledgehammer through the petition that was here...
This was Sunday night, too?
This was Sunday night, too. I didn't realize that the sledgehammer would go right through the wall and right through the toilet.
Well, I don't think you can patch that one up, Ben.
We won't be salvaging it.
No. I notice you've been putting down lines around the space, and here's Debbie. Have you been planning what we're going to do
we
here?
We have. Debbie's got a pretty little diary.
Hi, how are you, Debbie?
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Tell me all about what you've decided. I mean, now that you've had a busy weekend getting wet and slipping around in your basement.
It's been quite a weekend. It has. Eventful. Ben and I have been looking over the situation down here, and we've come up with this plan. As you see, you come down the stairs here.
Yeah, that's how I just entered the basement space.
Into an entranceway where there'll be a nice wall here to carry our artwork. And you enter the room through some archways here. Over here will be our sitting area, which is across from our entertainment with shelves, and that has our TV and the stereo system.
So we'll have a big built-in unit there.
Yes, it will. And then on the other side of the chimney, we'll have some more upper shelf situation for books, lower cabinets, and then a storage closet situation.
You need something with a door on it so you can hide all the kids' games and so
yes,
forth.
so we can get it out of the way.
And then what about this alcove that you're creating here?
Here we've decided, and we'd like to ask your opinion too, we'd like to put the sink there for some water play for the children, also to have a bar area too.
Yeah, that makes sense as long as it's close to the plumbing over here.
Yes, and then you would have the half bath here.
Very good. Now you've been tacking up pages out of magazines this weekend. What's this all about?
I found this in a magazine where a woman had the same situation that we do. It is not a working fireplace. It's just a little niche that she
Okay, because
had
this
built.
chimney base that we have here cannot be turned into a working fireplace.
Right. I was wondering, though, if the mason could come and just build this little niche where it could carry a plant or something to make it unusual.
You could probably tear out one course of brick down below and kind of create a little arch there.
All right.
And get a price on it. What have you got over here?
Over here, I found an article where a woman had used the beadboard, which we were considering also.
Beadboard, yeah, matchboard it's also called. It's a nice product.
Yes, and I do like the look of it. I was wondering what you thought.
Well, I think it could be very, very pleasant down here, especially if you stained it or painted it white or something like that. Yeah.
To seal it so it doesn't turn the yellow?
Yeah, the pine will yellow if you don't.
Okay.
But you're getting way ahead of yourself on finished details, I'll tell you that. You do have to think about them. What's this
All right.
one?
Over here, I found a archway situation in a magazine where it just wasn't the typical straight archway. It has a little corner to it.
Yeah, an angled corner. That's perfectly
And
nice.
I thought it looked country.
Sure. Well, before we get to finished details, we got to get started around here. You ready to put on a nail apron and so forth?
Well, I have to take the dog to the vet's right now, so I will be back in a short while.
All right. How about you, Ben? Are you going to give us a hand?
Excited to go, but Norm has me going to the hardware store to get some nails and a new saw blade, and I'll be right back.
We'll come back in a half an hour or so. Okay. Well, Norm, why don't we get started?
Bob, why don't you give me a hand just so I can double check this measurement? Right on the red line. Good. 72 and a half, that's fine.
Good. So you've got lines down all over the slab that correspond to where she wants the wall.
That's right, where the walls are to be.
Okay, so what are we doing first?
Well, basically, we're building a room within a room with some new stud walls.
Why?
Because this is a concrete basement, and these walls are going to get real cold in the wintertime.
Even though they're dry and so forth.
So we want to insulate it, first of all. And secondly, the foundation, even though this is a pretty good house, it's almost square, the foundation is a little out of square, and it's a little wavy and not quite plumb. So we want to give some nice, new, plumb and straight walls to start with.
The big mistake is when you do follow the foundation wall, and then when you get to the point of installing cabinets or doing finish work, you find corners that are out of
That's right,
square.
then you have to start scribing everything and fitting it in.
Okay. So, you're starting off by putting down a shoe, right?
That's right, the shoe, and again, whenever we're against concrete, even though it's nice and dry down here, there's still moisture in this concrete, so we use pressure-treated materials. And if you want to nail it by hand, we can use these 2.5-inch masonry nails. They're a hardened steel nail, so you have to make sure that you wear some kind of eye protection. And they're not the easiest thing to put in because you have to drive them perfectly straight. And you really got to hit them, and you got to hope that they hold. Well, you might have to put quite a few in. Now, I have a power tool to do it. It makes it a lot easier and faster.
That's actually a gun, isn't it?
It's a gun. It has a 27 caliber blank, which just pushes a piston, which drives the nail.
You got your license on you?
I have a license to use this. You have to be licensed to use it. And all we do is push down on it and fire.
Good.
Well, that makes it a lot easier.
We'll be done getting these down before Ben gets back.
Okay.
The job really goes quickly and smoothly when you've got the right tools. I've been cutting studs to length, but Norm has been using that gun, and in just the last few minutes, he does have the bottom plate right in position around the perimeter of the room. As a matter of fact, he's way ahead of the game. Norm, what's the next step that you've been involved with?
Well, Bob, there's several steps that I've had to do, and the first one was to get this top plate ready to go. And I cut another piece of 2x4. This time not pressure treated because it's at the top of our wall. We don't have to worry about moisture or anything. And I put it up against our shoe and did the layout on both the shoe and the plate at the same time.
Locating where each stud will be.
Where each stud is located. Once the measurement is made, I drew a line across both pieces at the same time, indicating the side of the stud, and then with an X, I show which side of the line I want that stud nailed on.
And they're all placed 16 inches on center, right?
The basic layout is 16 inches on center. Then, in order to get that top plate perfectly in line and plumb with the bottom, I just simply use the plumb bob, which is just a weighted bob with a point hanging on a string. And by hanging it down and aligning it with the inside edge of that 2x4, I just simply
know that you're transferring this point
to the top.
Up to the top.
Right. And I put a mark on my nailing blocks, snap the line across those, and simply nail this up, and it's ready to go. It's ready for all the studs.
And here's Ben with a nail. All set.
Good.
You know, now that you've got this top piece and the bottom pieces in place, you've got to put all these vertical studs in place, but it's not as easy as when you're building the wall down flat on the deck.
Right.
Because there you can nail through at the bottom.
Just use spikes and drive them through.
Here you can't do that.
Not here. We have to do what is called toe nailing. And that's not the easiest thing to do sometimes.
Why don't we give our friend a lesson on that?
Okay. All right, then what we have to do is take the stud and put it in place. Now this one's just a little bit loose, so what I'll do is, there's my line and the mark, so we know it's got to go there, and we also want to keep the inside surface of the 2x4 flush with this side. Now because it's a little loose, I'm just going to get a nail started. Just so that it won't move back and forth so easily. And then I'll come around this side. Put 1. 2 on each side is the general rule that I like to follow. Now, I went over the line a little bit. Why don't you try to drive a couple in from that side and drive it back to the line.
About a 3/4 inch down.
Yeah, at about a 60-degree angle, 45.
Not too bad.
Pretty good.
A little hard making over your head.
Yeah, your arm gets a little tired.
Not bad.
Not bad. Now, after about 30 or 40 of these, you'll get real good at doing toenails.
Well, that's the idea. Why don't we all grab a hammer and get busy getting these walls in place?
Okay.
Good. Okay. Well, Ben, now that we've got our walls in place, the next thing to do is to insulate this room so that you'll have a nice, cozy, warm family room. And we're going to be using fiberglass in 6-inch bats that already comes in the proper width to fit in between these studs that are on 16-inch centers, but we don't have any kind of facing on the material, because what we're going to be doing is, after we put it all in place, we'll be installing a continuous vapor barrier, which is simply polyethylene, also called visqueen. But we can't do that until we've cut all the pieces and put them into place. Let me show you a quick way to kind of mass produce this job. First, you just have to take the measurement, the height that you have, which is 84 3/4. Do we have a piece of plywood someplace over here?
Right here, Bob.
Yeah, you want to just put that around here someplace? Let's take that 83 3/4 off of the edge of our bottom plate there. You want to mark that for me? There you go. Okay, and if I put a weight on something like this, it'll keep it from moving on us. I could have just marked the concrete floor, but then you'd be making cuts with your utility knife and wearing out blades every 3 minutes. Now, is there a short stud? Yeah. Okay. That's the mark. That's the length from there to there for all the pieces that go in there. And let's grab one of these.
Okay. Now what do I just put it up to the
Just set it down right up against there.
All right.
Take this piece, line it up right over your pencil line. I like to step on it to compress the insulation, and then just give it a cut. Good. Now, that piece should just go right into the wall with no problems at all. Just tuck it in. Of course, it'll stay in place of its own will.
There's no stapling or?
No. Don't need to do anything, because it'll all be held in place by the studs. You got that?
Very simple.
Keep doing it over and over and over again.
Okay.
And then we'll get the plastic up. Are you on the mark? Tighten up. Okay. These red chalk lines are going to be invaluable when we start putting down our sleepers, the pressure-treated 2x4s, that will form a framework for the new plywood deck that'll go here. And they're 2 feet on center because we're using 3/4 inch plywood. So that'll work. Of course, we'll insulate the space in between. Let's recap. We've got all our perimeter walls, the stud walls, done and in place, and we've just about finished insulating. So the next thing to do is to get a vapor barrier across the whole room. We're going to be using polyethylene, also known as visqueen, and the most important thing is that you don't puncture this, that you have a solid membrane all around the room, because you want to keep the warm, moist air that's inside the living space from penetrating into that insulation. You want to keep the insulation dry. So we'll need a utility knife and a staple gun, and we'll get started.
Well, Bob, one thing before you put that up, I want to do one more thing, and that's to put a level line all the way around this room.
Why do we need a level line?
Well, the reason we need the level line is because I want to use that as a reference point from which we can measure to make sure that your ceiling is perfectly level and that your floor is perfectly level.
Okay. And I can use my level and just go around.
Well, you could, but that's only a 4-foot level, and you have a room that's 20 feet long here. So if the level's off a little bit, or you're not exact, very precise in making your marks, you could be off an inch by the time you get to the other side.
Well, how else can we do this?
Well, I could have brought along my transit, but that's a real expensive tool.
I don't know how to use it.
You don't know how to use one, okay. So what I did is I brought along this little setup here, which is a water level.
What does something like that cost?
Well, this is only about $25. Well, I've been, believe me, they're making some profit on this because all it is a coil of clear plastic tubing in this little container. What we did is we filled the tubing with colored water, and in the center here, there's also a little reservoir for the water. And what you do is just uncoil it, and you pull this cap off. It's like a little vent tube, let some air in there. As you can see, the water starts to move in the tube immediately. If I raise the tube, it drops down.
It wants to seek its own level.
That's right, it's seeking the same level as the reservoir that's in the center here. As I drop it down, it rises. And the colored water is simply to make it more visual so that you could see it better when you mark your locations. Now what we do is I'll just take this line, bring it over to the wall, put it in the corner here to start, and you see it drops down, and when it gets where it stops, I'll just take a pencil and make a mark. Now we have to do this all the way around the room.
Right over here?
Yeah, why don't you try it on that end of the wall.
You've got about 50 feet of that so that you can go all around the
It's very important that we don't move that reservoir while we're doing this. Leave it on that platform.
I just wait a second until it stops.
Yeah, until it stops moving. It's still moving. Okay, that's it.
This is great. I like this.
You do it.
We do this all the way around the room.
Sure. Now, you can use this for a lot of things, too. You can use it for putting up fences or a deck or something like that. Let's bring it down the corner and...
Let's take the chalk line, and we'll go ahead and establish a level line for us along this wall. See the mark right there? Pull it tight. There we go. Okay, that's good. Now, with the extra material that we've got here, we can just cut it, leave a couple of inches there, and then you'll take a shingle and just kind of tuck in right into behind the stud. Okay? Well, what's next, Norm?
Well, Bob, we're all set to start setting these sleepers. And what I've done first is nailed this 2x4 on as a guide, measured down from my level line that we set with the water level, and attached one to each side of the room.
Okay.
And Ben, if you could bring this line down and attach it to that one. The reason for this is just a little system to make it easier to get the middle of the floor. We don't know if it's up or down or what it's doing down in the middle. So you just string a line, making sure it's pulled very tight.
So that it won't sag in the middle, yeah?
Right, from one side of the room to the other. And by using this line, we'll be able to get a perfectly flat floor. Now all we do is slide our 2x in. And I've set this at such a height so that I can use another piece of 2x4, a little scrap, as a gauge. And the idea is to bring the top of this sleeper up to the line. See, there's a little space. Up to the line by, excuse me, by shimming it. And to shim it, we'll use these shingles. Shimming shingles. Now, you can buy all kinds of shingles from the real expensive ones, but you call these shimming shingles because they're exactly that, very cheap and inexpensive. And what you do is you slide thin end to thin end, always starting with thin end. As you slide them together, you get thicker and thicker to the point that you can get almost 3/4 of an inch.
Well, why can't I just use one shingle?
Well, if you use one shingle and you slide it under here, it's tapered, so it's going to make this piece of wood want to be tipped.
I see.
So we always use two to make sure that it's flat. I use this as a gauge. I'm a little too high. Sometimes with the lumber, you have to make sure it's pushed down tight. Okay. All right, now that's not too bad.
It's not bad.
Get it on our line.
Now, how far along apart do I put the shingles?
About every 2 feet, mainly because we are putting these timbers on the flat. and they're not as strong that way. So I would like to see support every 2 feet.
That's a lot of shimming.
It's a lot of shimming. But if you can handle the shimming, I'll use the gun and fasten them down to the floor.
Right.
That's all set.
It is easy to work
That's
with.
good even with a utility knife.
Yeah. Well, we're ready right now for one of the most important parts of the whole job, which is to lay down rigid insulation right over the old concrete slab. We're not putting down a styrofoam product. We're putting down something called polyisocyanurate, which gives us an R7 factor per inch of insulation. And it also comes with a foil moisture barrier, so that it's a one-step installation. We won't have to lay any plastic over this material. And we've already, it comes in 4-by-8 sheets, but we've already cut it into 2-foot strips. Fit right into place. And now. Perfect.
You just slide it down a little?
Yeah. What's next, Norm?
Okay, I'm going to put some adhesive on these sleepers.
Just regular panel adhesive.
Yeah, it's like a construction adhesive.
Now, why do we need that?
Well, I like to make sure that that plywood's going to stick down good and we're not going to get any squeaks because there's no way to get underneath this later on.
Right.
Okay. And Debbie,
Now,
if you
Ben,
want
can you help slide that sheet
a little
right
bit
in?
there. Okay, and let's just tip that forward. This is just 3/4 inch tongue and groove plywood.
And I'll step on it.
Okay, that's
Does it need to move any farther in?
I think it's right up against both walls. pretty
Good.
much.
Now, why is it a good idea to have tongue and groove plywood here?
Well, with the spacing of our sleepers, it'll stop the plywood from moving between these. Gives us a real solid base. We're using coated nails, cement coated nails. You can just tack that in then. And the reason I like to use these is because they hold a lot better.
They really
They really hold.
Yeah. Well, now, before you know it, we'll have a floor. And of course, one of the next things we're going to be dealing with is a ceiling in here. But before we get to that, we have to worry about the lighting for this area. So we've called in Dick Metcher, our lighting consultant, to help us figure that one out. Is this the place? Yep, this is the place. Hi, Dick.
Bob, it's finally come to this. We meet in the cellar.
It's going to be a fabulous family room, okay?
Well, you need to get some light on these stairs. I only broke my neck.
That's what we called you in here for. Watch out with that thing.
What is it?
And that is a laundry chute.
We don't want to light that.
No, we'll have to cancel this so that we have enough walking room space to get through a corridor that we'll be building here. And then you enter the family room right here. Meet Debbie, the homeowner.
Hi, Debbie. How are you?
Hi, Dick. Nice to meet you.
Debbie, he has seen a sketch of the general layout for this area, but you better tell him a little bit more about the feeling you want in here.
All right, we would like a very cheerful daytime effect. Lots of lights, and we were thinking of recessed fluorescent fixtures. Bob had recently shown us a room that used a lot of fluorescent fixtures, and we were pleased with that type of effect.
Well, fluorescents are fine for ping pong tables and offices, but for a room like this where you want to create a mood, you want to dim the fixture. You want to create different types of levels of light. And to dim a fluorescent fixture becomes very expensive. You need dimming ballast, you need a fluorescent dimmer on the wall, and you're talking probably $200 to dim the fixture.
Oh, that's
didn't
way
realize
over
that.
budget. Yes.
Well, that would blow the budget.
Yeah, so...
Well, tell me a little bit about the room.
All right, well, this is our focal point of the room. There's going to be an illusion of a fireplace with a plant or something in the fireplace area. So we'd like to make this somewhat special and some type of lighting situation. What would you suggest here?
Well, I brought along a couple of fixtures with me, and one of them is what we call a recessed wall wash fixture. As you can see, it has a reflector up inside to reflect the light out at an angle. What we would do is recess this fixture up in the ceiling here and point it towards the middle of the fireplace, and it would reflect the light towards the fireplace. Because as you're standing on that side of the room, you can't see the lamp. And I think it would create a nice mood in the room.
They do
Okay.
bring out the texture in the wall.
Yes,
Hey,
that's
Dick,
right.
what about a situation like, well, look over here. This is going to be a scenic window. It's going to be an actual window mounted in the space, but the only daylight that'll ever come through is from the old basement window. How can we highlight it artificially?
Well, this is where we ought to use fluorescent. We use it in our showroom, and it's very, very effective. What I would do is put a fluorescent fixture up at the top here, and the fluorescent being a long fixture would give you a sheet of light as a backdrop here and would shine through the fabric and would look like it was backlighting, like daylight coming in from the outside.
And you
I
wouldn't
think
need a
that's the
dimmer.
effect that you want.
Yeah.
And it's an inexpensive fixture.
What about general lighting in the whole room?
Well, the other fixture I brought with me over here is a recessed downlight. It's probably our most popular fixture. It's a fixture, again, that recesses up inside, up in the ceiling. It has the bulb that sits up inside, so you really don't see the bulb. It has a black baffle here that takes the glare of the lamp. And again, these can be dimmed and create the mood that you want to. And
Are they pricey?
Oh, it costs about $25 or $30 for a fixture.
That's not bad. Well, I think the thing we ought to do is figure out exactly how many we need and where we need to put them.
Yeah.
Right.
We've got a ceiling to hang in here before too long.
Wherever you want a spot of light, this is where to put them.
Okay. Well, how about right here where the bookshelves are going?
That would be an ideal place.
Got a marker?
Sure.
Well, that's about it for today. Hope you can join us next week. We'll be tackling the electrical wiring in the family room, and we'll be getting started with some of the finish work, actually. We'll be paneling some of the walls, and I guess we'll get started with a project lots of you have written in about. We'll be installing a suspended ceiling system. Till then, I'm Bob Vila for This Old House.
Presentation of This Old House is made possible by Weyerhaeuser, providers of building materials, services, and other products that help Americans live better at the same address. Weyerhaeuser.
Don't go away. There's another episode of This Old House coming right up, after you take advantage of this opportunity to help pay for your favorite programs here on public television. I'll be back to help the Benedettis work on their family room in this special 5-program edition of This Old House. But first, call now and make your pledge.
Here's the number to call, 923-1234, and right now we have volunteers waiting to answer your phone call. Hi everyone, I'm Mark Vogelsang and I work here at WHYY. Want to remind you that there are 3 more episodes of Home Time still to come, so don't go away. As Bob Vila mentioned, it's vitally important that you stay right here and watch tonight. It's going to be a great night of episodes, and later on tonight we have a concert by James Taylor, so you won't want to miss that as well. Here's the number, 923-1234, and think about a moment how valuable home time, but also This Old House is to you. The sort of hands-on work that Bob Vila and the folks do every week, day in, day out here on TV12. That is something that you cannot buy anywhere else. It's only here on public television and only on This Old House. That's why we can come to you in confidence and say, call now with your pledge of support at 923-1234. One of the many volunteers from Caldwell Banker may be answering your phone call right now. Why don't you go to the phone and make a pledge of support at 923-1234. Let's hear from you. When you do call with any pledge, we're going to give you this special edition, the February edition of Homeowner Magazine, which is a companion guide to the PBS series Home Time. It's called Home Improvement How To. You'll love this issue. It's yours free when you call right now with a paid subscription at 923-1234. David and Arthur and I are here all night long, and we're going to tell you a little bit about some things and maybe entice you to pick up the phone and go to the phone and make a pledge of support. There's very real reasons why we think it's valuable that you become a subscriber to TV12. It's so vitally important that you call right now at 923-1234. We're going to send you a special pair of gloves as well if you pledge with in excess of a few dollars. We're going to tell you all about that. Here to tell you about that is David Othmer. David.
Thank you, Mark. It is a great issue. It has 3 or 4 pages on each of the programs and goes into considerable detail on each of the programs. A great primer, and we urge you to give us a call, 215-923-1234, free for a basic subscription of $35, this issue of Homeowner Magazine, which has very detailed descriptions of each of the 13 parts in Home Time 2, which you've been seeing every week right alongside of This Old House. We'll be back with more of This Old House. It's a 5-part series. Don't go away. But first, I want to tell you about a couple of other things. Of course, you get Applause Magazine, and you do get this, whoa! It's a coupon power book that just went flying in front of me there. It's a nice coupon power book, has all kinds of coupons to places throughout the Delaware Valley, many of which you can find, and it just reappeared. Thank you, Fred. And it has coupons, many of which would be very helpful to you in the home. I went through them today, and they're extraordinary. There's some that are worth well over $36. Just one coupon is worth well over $36. But restaurants, shops, all that kind of thing, it's terrific. Those are terrific. For $50, we will send you this pair of gloves, work gloves, TV12 work gloves. It says TV12 shows me how, and they are sturdy, very handsome, nice-looking work gloves. I've been wearing them all afternoon here, and they're terrific. We really urge you to give us a call for that. We have mentioned the home time videotapes. $100 gets you 3 home time videotapes. But right now I want to talk about the sander, the special Black & Decker sander, and the special Black & Decker heat gun, the stripper. Each one of you can get either one of these for $60, or we will send them both to you for $100. And if that isn't a bargain, I do not know what a bargain is. They're terrific. The thing I love most about the heat and strip is that the instructions say, please don't use it as a hairdryer. Very important. Do not use it as a hairdryer, but give us a call, 215-923-1234. Become a subscriber to TV12. Put it on a credit card. By all means, get your credit card out, and we will send you, also free of charge, along with the Homeowner Magazine, this great TV12 license plate holder. There you see one in use. It is great. They work very nicely. TV12 license plate holder and 91 FM. It says WHYY, 91 FM, and TV12 right there. It is yours, absolutely free, along with the free subscription of the free issue of Homeowner Magazine for a credit card call. 215-923-1234. Almost all the phones are busy, but not quite, so it would be a great time to get through to us right now. And here again is Mark.
It's true. There is no better time than to call right now. We have, just talking to Mike Quattrone, we have 3 more episodes of This Old House still to come tonight. It's going to be a great night at 923-1234. When you do call, we're going to send you this special edition of Homeowner Magazine. It tells you all about a number of projects. For a pledge of $50, you can get the WHYY TV12 Shows Me How gloves. I love these gloves. I want a pair. Can I have I want a pair of these gloves. I guess I'm going to have to pledge $50. Call right now at 923-1234. You can do it now. You know, Bob Vila, Norm Abrams, they're here for you each and every week on TV12, explaining the nuts and bolts, literally, of how to do it. And that's wonderful when it comes to public television, because as someone who tries to do some work around the home, it's invaluable to have someone actually on public television, on This Old House, show you where to drive the nails, what to do with the drywall, how to use a chalk line, all those things that are kind of difficult to do usually. But when This Old House comes on, it shows me how. That's why it's valuable to call right now with your pledge of support. We have a lot of special gifts tonight. David mentioned some of them. But when you do call, one of the volunteers here that you see behind me, the Caldwell Banker, will take your call, ask your name, the address, whether you want to put it on credit card, and then how much you want to pledge. It's that simple, and you're finished. You're off the phone just in time to get back to the the television and watch This Old House at 923-1234. As I mentioned, there are 3 more episodes tonight, and then later on tonight we have a James Taylor special, so it's going to be a tremendous, tremendous evening. But it's going to be a tremendous evening only if you call at 923-1234. That's the number to call. If you're having trouble getting through, call 1-800-225-1234. We want to hear from you right now. And think about for a moment how valuable TV12 is in your life. Not only how-to programs, but educational programs, entertainment programs, all here for you. Here's David Othmer with a little bit more of an incentive. David?
Thank you, Mark. It is great. I can't believe what a great offer we're making now. This Homeowner Magazine has detailed descriptions of furniture stripping, ceramic tile, windows and doors, lighting design, landscaping, refinishing wood floors, pathways and walkways, and decks. And there are a couple more, because that's not all of the 13. They're all in here in detail. That is yours free with a basic subscription of $35 or more. Also free with a basic subscription, if you put it on a credit card, is the TV12 license plate holder. So do that. Now I want to talk to you for a minute about 3 videotapes from the Home Time series. 3 videotapes which are yours for a pledge of $100. They are the videotapes on common home repairs, on hand and power tools, and on painting and wallpapering. 3 very basic videotapes that can get you started in just about any project. You cannot, you obviously can live without them, but you shouldn't. You should have these 3 videotapes if you're interested in any kind of home repair project. They are yours for a pledge of $100. They are expanded versions of the Home Time videotapes. They are not just the same half-hour shows. They're basically 45-minute to an hour and 15-minute shows. They're yours for a pledge of $100. And of course, these terrific gloves, $50 makes them yours. Here again, putting on his gloves, is Mark Vogelsang.
We're set now. 923-1234. I want to remind you, there is not a lot of time left. We have much more of This Old House still to come. We have 3 more episodes. You won't want to miss any of them. But in order to get on the good deal that David's been mentioning, and we're here tonight with Coldwell Banker, you have to call now. So let's hear from you all across the Delaware Valley. Maybe Wilmington, maybe out in the suburbs, maybe you're in town, but call right now with your pledge of support at 923-1234. We'd love to hear from you. To all of you who have called so far and pledged, thanks. Keep watching, enjoy the show, and see you in a little while.
We rely on your pledge here at TV12 WHYY. So make that pledge now at 923-1234. Come see Dean Johnson and Joanne Liebler of Home Time and meet Susan from Sesame Street at the Delaware Showcase Spring Home, Garden and Consumer Exposition, March 18th, 19th, and 20th at the Brandywine Raceway, Wilmington.
Thanks for helping to pay for the broadcast of This Old House here on public television. Now, let's rejoin the Benedettis for the third of this special 5-program edition of This Old House.
Presentation of This Old House is made possible by Weyerhaeuser, providers of building materials, services, and other products that help Americans live better at the same address. Weyerhaeuser.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome to This Old House. You know, nowadays the reality of housing for many young families is that the only way to get the house of your dreams is to buy something that needs a lot of work done and to do the work yourself. Now, this is a perfect example. We're talking sweat equity, and here Ben and Debbie, the young couple that recently bought the house, have done all sorts of work both on the exterior and on the inside. And we got together with them and we're helping them take some basement space, raw space, and convert it into a nice family room. When we were here last week, we were showing Ben how to put down a plywood deck over his concrete slab. Let's go down in the basement and see how he made out. I also want to give him some tips on electrical wiring. Oh yeah, there's been some progress here. First thing that's missing is the bottom half of the laundry chute, which was, I guess, a great thing to have, but every time you walk down the stairs, you bump right into it. And they've finished a good deal of work here. And our windows have arrived. You know, these are going to be placed up against the basement wall to kind of create really a scenic window, but he's got all the stud walls in place for that alcove, and then the bathroom is going beyond that. And of course, here's our happy homeowner, Ben.
Oh, hi, Bob. How are you
Still
today?
busy. How you doing?
Still busy. Very fine.
You made a lot of progress since I was here at the end of the week.
We did. We made an awful lot of progress.
The deck looks fantastic. It's nice to have this all around. It's really toasty and warm in here.
It is. You can feel the warmth.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember when we left the last time, we had the sleepers and the insulation already laid out.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the long weekend, while everyone was enjoying themselves, Debbie and I carried down all the plywood.
How many sheets did it take?
16 sheets of plywood.
It gets a little heavy after the first couple of sheets, doesn't it?
Very heavy. But we got it down. We took the plywood, cut it to size, and started putting in place and nailing. And then we ran into our second problem. It's hard to nail.
Well, it is yellow pine.
It may last a long time, but my arm was sore.
Yeah.
But we got it down.
If you were using the cement nails, the thin ones, they bend easily. But you've done a nice job. It's all tongued and grooved stuff.
Yes, it is.
It's good and tight. You won't have any problems here.
Hope not.
It seems spacious in here right now, like something's missing, and I think I know what it is.
There's a lot missing.
There's been a lot accomplished. You had these big 3-inch heating pipes were for all your radiators, and they're gone.
Even though it was an expensive proposition, we decided, because of the height, we decided to remove the pipes.
It's a great idea.
What we had an arrangement with our plumber was that he would take down all the pipes, and Debbie and I would carry them out. And again, they were heavy, but we saved money in doing it that way.
You're working on the old arms this weekend.
Right? One thing we did for precaution was to replace all the brass pipes. If you remember, when I broke the first brass pipe, I decided I did not want any water problems.
You're absolutely right, because you're going to have new living space here, and you don't want to have any old pipes buried in the ceiling.
No, we don't.
So, Ben, what are you up to over here? I notice you've got some wires hanging around.
Well, my arrangement with my electrician is that he will allow me to place the outlet boxes and to run the wires. Then he'll come out, make the final connections, and have everything inspected.
Oh, good. So you're actually getting a lot of that work done right now. What's happening here?
This is an outlet box. If you remember, we're going to have a shelf system with a cabinet system down below. Originally, we had planned on strapping being placed here with our bead board or pine paneling below it.
Yeah.
This would have allowed us to run our wiring behind the strapping and in between, and not
Without interfering with the moisture barrier.
without puncturing this at all.
Yeah.
We changed our mind. We realized that we were spending an awful lot of money for something that would not show, so we decided to cover this with wallboard.
Well, indeed, all that pine would be mostly hidden behind your books and behind your cabinet. So you're just going to drywall this whole wall?
That's correct. But that necessitated to run our wiring, to pull back the moisture barrier, run our wiring in between it, along this piece of strapping.
Mm-hmm. Now, you haven't poked any holes in the visual.
We were very careful.
Good.
Very careful.
That's a good idea whenever you have a wire like that. Even though you're going to have a suspended ceiling in this whole room that'll be below that, the wires, nobody can ever hang off the wire.
That's right, a little bit of safety.
Stapled right in place. So then you're going to have a loop from this plug to the next one.
To this plug over here.
And you're working on that one.
Right. Now here, of course, we are going to be having the pine paneling.
You'll have a wainscot that goes all along this wall.
So we are able to push this without puncturing the moisture barrier.
The moisture barrier. Then you're ready to bring another loop from the next box.
Next box to this box.
Okay, well, why don't we get one up in place? You better take it through here first. And I'll position this next box for you. Right on the strapping. Ordinarily, these work boxes are put in place right up against the stud. In this case, we're going to attach it right to the strapping in this location, staying close to the stud where the strapping itself is pretty rigid. And that way, we don't have to in any way interfere with the moisture barrier. And of course, once we put the wainscoting up, the box will be flush with the pine, and it'll work out real nicely. Let me get one more nail in here. There you go. All right, you got that one over there?
All set.
You better cut this one. All right. Let me make sure there's plenty of slack. Wait. I'm going to be going from here down to the box. Cut it right around here. Good. And then, where's your next plug going in?
Our next plug is over here. Again, we'll make another loop.
All right.
From this plug up, over, down into this plug here.
And right in there. What are you going to be doing about lighting? Have you gotten yourself straight on that?
Yes, we have.
Here's the screwdriver.
Okay. If you remember, we're going to be having recessed lighting fixtures.
Right, these things.
Right. Now, we've pre-marked in the stud areas, the ceiling joists, where they're going to go.
This is the work kit for the recessed light.
That's right.
The beauty about these is that the work box is already attached here.
Saves a lot of time.
So you don't have to tack any boxes onto the studs up there, or the joists rather.
Now, this will be sitting on the suspended ceiling grid.
Correct.
All right. But before we can do that, we've got to run some wires from one fixture to another.
Right.
And we've already started that.
Good. So let's see. You're going to have one of these fixtures right in this bay.
One up to here.
Between the joists, and that's the feed for it. And then the other one goes over here. You've made sure that you're not going to be more than about 1.5 feet away from the front face of the
measured out.
Okay.
Right. And then from here, we'll bring it down to a switch. This will go with a new switch.
What kind of wire are you using here?
We're using a 14-2 wire, which will run off a 15-amp circuit.
That's perfect, because a 15-amp circuit allows you to have
1,500
watt bulbs.
And with all the lighting, I doubt if we'll hit 1,000.
You'll never get over 1,000, sure.
So plenty of coverage.
Okay, well, why don't we get busy and start stapling this up here. The sooner we get all these in place, the sooner we can get your electrician to liven it up.
Again, we want to make sure we leave plenty of wire.
Yeah, lots of slack.
We can always cut it short.
But I want to be able to get started with
just a little bit more.
The wall board in here, and we can't do that until we've had an inspection.
That's correct.
Okay, now, where are you going to have a switch for these two lights?
Switch will be down here in place of this outlet, which will go.
Yeah, all the old work is going to be
Everything will be gone
as soon as we're ready to. So you'll have a control here, probably on a dimmer.
That's right. I'll just tack this here now.
And then, and then what you've got to do is bring your hot feed, which is the same cable. Yeah, leave a good foot extra. All you got to do now is tack a line from here all the way to some point. Oh, you've already got a work box.
We already have a work box over there, Bob.
This is what you call a junction box or a work box, and this is where all the different feeds will go to all the different points.
That's right.
All right.
At this point, my licensed electrician comes in and makes all final connections.
Okay, and then we can start talking wallboard.
We can.
Let's get this one in place.
All right.
Okay, Deb, I hope this isn't too heavy because, you know, we've got about 40 more sheets to bring in this afternoon.
Oh, I think my arm's 3 inches longer on one side. This stuff is heavy. This isn't the worst part of the job, Norm. It's when Ben and I get to taping, and we always seem to get too much compound on the joints, and we're sanding for days, and it's just a messy job.
Well, maybe I can give you a couple tips this time around that might make it a little bit easier.
Okay.
But before we get into taping, let's put up at least another sheet in this corner. And what we're going to do is, remember, you've got the wainscoting down below here, so we only have to put the drywall on from the top of the wall down to here. Now, it measures 51.5 inches, but I think we'll only cut it 51.25 because we got a little bit of a fudge factor here to deal with since your finished ceiling is going to be down around here somewhere, okay?
All right.
So we'll come over to the sheet we just brought in, measure 51.25 and put a mark. And if you could get that square there.
Gee, Norm, is this a tool the average homeowner should have? It looks rather expensive.
Well, the average homeowner probably wouldn't have it, but if you're going to do a lot of drywall work or if you're going to cut up sheets of plywood, it's a great tool because you just put it up against the edge of the sheet and it gives you a square line and a nice 4-foot straight edge. And if you're going to use a lot, it's well worthwhile.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is take your utility knife like this one and just score the paper right along the edge of this
All right,
square.
but
Make sure you hold this down so it doesn't move.
All right, but I don't want to cut all the way through.
No, just score it. And make sure you keep that blade, that's good, perpendicular to the drywall, because if it's angled back, the piece will be a little bit short, and if it's angled the other way, it'll be too long, and there's nothing worse than try to trim off a little bit of drywall.
Okay, now
Just carefully slide it off the edge of the sawhorses. Just let it down to the floor. Okay. I want you to do is come behind the sheet, and here's our cut right about here. Put your knee up against it.
Yeah.
And just pull with that hand and just snap it. That's it.
Oh, that was easy enough.
Now take your knife and cut down from the top, about halfway, and then go from the bottom up.
Okay.
Just cut right through that. All you're really cutting is the paper. Good.
Okay.
That's easy. All right, put that piece over there, and I'll swing this piece around. And we're lucky here. We've got this piece of strapping we can rest it right on. Slide it into the corner. Okay. Now, just tack it there. Put one nail anywhere.
All right.
But don't drive it in all the way because I want to show you something on the nailing. Okay,
like that?
Yeah, that's fine for now. Now, another thing I want to do is I want to locate the rest of the studs that I can't see here. I know they're 16 inches apart, so I'll mark them 16 inches, 32 inches, 16 and 32 at the bottom. And if you could give me that piece of strapping, we'll just use that as a little straight edge and draw a line. Even the professionals do this to make sure that you're nailing directly into the studs.
What happens if we don't hit a stud?
Well, if you don't hit the stud, you got to make sure you pull the nail out, or it might, pop out later. And if you really hit it hard and there's not a stud behind it, you might put a hole right through the drywall, and that's a little difficult to replace.
Okay.
Now, on the nailing, the reason I had you stop there was I wanted to show you when you put the nails in, you drive it in, just give it one more whack so that you get a little dimple like that. Don't hit it so hard that it breaks the paper. Just give it a dimple. And nail it about every 8 inches.
About every 8 inches?
Right, so why don't we nail up the rest of this sheet?
Okay.
That's good. Well, that sheet's got a nail now for about every square foot, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And what I'd like to do is start in the corner with the taping. But before we put any compound in there, the first thing I'm going to do is put this fiberglass tape. You can feel that it's sticky on the back.
Yeah, we use this instead of the paper tape?
That's right, and I think you'll see why in a minute. We'll just fold it and put it right in the corner. And the reason we're putting it in the corner, this will stop any potential cracking because the studs behind it might shrink. And what you do is just run it down.
It won't have the bubbles like the paper tape usually has?
That's one thing. You don't get all those bubbles that you have to work with.
Okay.
And the other thing is that when you put the compound on here, you know, it gets in this mesh right in there and right onto the drywall, and it makes a much better seam. Okay, now that that's done, we're ready for the compound. So take your homemade hawk and throw a glob of the ready mixed drywall compound. It's really neat. In the old days, you used to have to mix this up. Now it comes all pre-mixed. Good. Okay, what I want you to do is just do one side of that corner. Okay, that's the idea. You can just fill that right in. And the reason we're doing only one side now is because we have to let that side dry, and then we'll be able to do the other side the same way you're doing that right now. Now just go up to the top again once more, and just take the knife and just go right down the whole thing just one time. Okay, that's it. Don't fool around with it anymore. We'll come back to it when it's dry and maybe put another coat on it.
Okay.
Now the nails, just hit those. Hit it and scrape it off. Good.
Okay.
And you know, they'll shrink a little when it dries, so you might have to come back and hit these again.
Okay.
Now over here we've got our flush seam, and again we want to put the fiberglass tape on it so that it won't crack. And just put it right over the center. And I'll run it down to the floor, and actually you can start right there on the top and
All right.
start to fill it in with compound. When you get down that far, and go
just
to the
run it.
top and just come right down again, just like you did in the corner, and try to get rid of some of this excess. Good. No, it's not as difficult as you thought it was going to be. It's not that bad. You know, we have to get all this drywall and taping done before we can do the next step. I don't want to have to tape up against our nice new finished ceiling, and I don't want to drop any of that compound on this board, so we really should finish all this before we go to the next step, which is to put the ceiling in.
Okay.
Okay, so you can just finish up that seam.
Okay.
You know, one of the most popular do-it-yourself homeowner projects that you can talk about these days is the suspended ceiling. And that's what we'll be putting in the family room down here. It's affordable. An average couple can put it up in a room this size, 12 by 20, in a couple of hours. It gives you the freedom to poke the panels out of place and bring in wires at a later point if you want to install another telephone line or a video recorder or whatever. And of course, there's not much to it, but we're going to rely on Norm to give us a little bit of an explanation of how it's installed.
Hey, well.
What's the first thing that one deals with?
Well, the first thing that I did is, remember, we spent a lot of time with the water level to get a level reference line all the way around this room. And I used it to make sure that the floor was perfectly level, and now I'm using it to make sure that the ceiling is perfectly level.
Right.
So all I did is measured up from this line and snapped a line all the way around the room, making sure that I kept it down from the framing about 2 or 3 inches so that I have room to slip the panels in and take them out later if we need servicing.
Yeah, and so you'll have room for electrical wires in the future if you want to add anything.
That's right.
Okay. So then once you've got your line established, what's next?
The first step is to put up the angle, the small angle, which is just 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch all the way around the room, just above that line that we snapped up there.
Okay, and that goes around the whole perimeter of the room.
Right. That's right.
Why don't we get started and
Okay,
take a
let's
measurement.
get a measurement.
Now, did you just pick this up this morning? Because these panel systems are very easily found in almost any lumberyard.
Yeah, you can buy all the parts at home centers, and it's relatively inexpensive.
Oh, it's quite inexpensive, yeah. I've heard the average room can be done for about $120.
That's right. Now, we could cut this with an ordinary hacksaw.
Yeah, that's what the homeowner would normally use.
Right, but I'm going to use this Power Miter box, which has a very fine-tooth carbide blade in it, which easily cuts through this.
It'll make some sparks, though, won't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
There we go. Now, is there any special kind of nail that you need?
We're just going to use little 4-penny box nails and just nail it right into the studs.
Yeah, I'm glad you've got pencil lines where the studs still are. That's...
Okay, Norm, that's it on the perimeter, Al.
Good.
They're all in place. I guess the next step is...
to do our layout of the grid.
That's the fun part, yeah. Well, we've got 2 options, essentially. We're dealing with 2 by 4 foot fiberglass ceiling panels here. And we can either go like this in the east-west axis, or we can put them like this, north-south. But the room is a rectangle, and the longest dimension is going in this direction. So I think these should relate to that dimension as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Besides, I know Debbie wants them to go that way, too.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a sketch that I've drawn of the room to give us the size and shape. Now, it's 20 foot 7 inches across, and it's 12 foot 2 deep.
That is really a shame. If it were just 20 feet across by 12 feet, we would just have 5 panels
By 6 panels.
6, yeah,
Right,
it would be
but
so easy.
Unfortunately, we don't. So let's start out and draw an imaginary center line.
Well, much as you would if you were laying a tile floor.
Right. So now that is one in that direction and one in this direction. Right, so that means we've got 12 foot 2 divided by 2 is 6 foot 1. So if you went in 2 foot increments, we'd end up with a 1 inch piece.
That would be pretty nasty.
So let's say that instead of starting in this line, let's straddle this center line with a 2 foot panel. In other words, 1 foot on each side of that line. So this would become a 2 foot panel. Then we'll go another 2 foot, another 2 foot.
That's 5.
And that'll be good because that'll leave us 13 inches
Gotcha.
in that dimension.
And of course, the same is true on the flip side.
That's right. Now, the 20 foot 7 divided by 2 is 10 foot 3.5. And that works out well because if we go with a 4 foot panel, we'll be left with a 2 foot 3.5 inch panel.
Right.
So that works out fine.
Okay.
It'll all be symmetrical, the best layout.
Okay. Now tell me what you were doing a minute ago with the lines over here.
Okay, the first thing that I did is established some lines for the grid. And what I did is measured off of the wall 6 foot 1.
That's our center line.
Which is the center line.
Yeah.
But because our panel is going to straddle that line, we have to go over a foot, which is half of a panel, to locate the grid, which will be right beneath this line.
Right.
Now also I measured out from the wall to this line 2 foot 3.5, which gives us the dimension for this last panel.
Of the end panel, yeah.
And right here at the 2, we've got an intersection of channels where the channels will be. Okay? So now what we need to do is cut our first main channel here. So what we want to do is take one. If you would just hold it up.
Now there's a tab on the end of these. Should I bend it or anything?
No, don't do anything with that yet. Okay, we'll put it up like this. Now, the thing is, after we put the main channels up, we're going to be putting these cross channels which go in these slots like that.
Right.
And I want that channel to be right under this line. So it's obvious that our main channel is too long. So we're going to have to cut it a little bit shorter so that this slot is right below this line. So since I know that this is 7 foot 1, we'll just measure from this slot and cut the other end.
Okay. I better hold the end of it.
Okay, you hold the end up, son. Okay. Give that a cut. Okay, let's give it a try.
Well, they should line up.
Okay, on top of the channel. Good, that's perfect. Now all we have to do, this is a little short, so I'll have to extend the other end of it, put a whole series of these main bars every 4 feet all the way across the room. It's like putting together an erector set.
But this is the main part of putting up the ceiling. Once you've got the grid work in place, all you have to do is pop the panels in. Let's get started. Norm, it's amazing how much rigidity we get for the whole grid once we have all these wire hangers in place.
I know, at every 4 feet it makes it real stiff.
All we're doing is putting these hooks into the boards up here, then hanging wire off of them, and we just take it down and see there's a hole in the T every foot or so that all we have to do is drive that wire through there and then bend it up. And then we check it to make sure it's level, Norm.
Right, because we've got this line that's one strapping width below the grid, and just by using another piece, we can come along and check it at the various...
Yeah, I think that one's right on.
That's right on right there.
All right, let me just
bend that around.
Bend it around a couple of times. I think this is the last one, isn't it?
That's it.
Okay, let's start putting some panels in. Okay, this will be the fun part. Now, the great thing about these panels is that they're flexible. If we were using rigid panels for the ceiling, we would have needed about a 6-inch clearing, just about a half a foot, in order to drive them in there.
Yeah.
But this goes in like a piece of cake.
Easy.
Yeah. How about cutting it, Norm? We're going to have pieces cut on the end there, aren't we?
Okay, why don't I get you a measurement for our end
Look
pieces.
at that. Yeah, get me a dimension on that.
Okay, it's exactly 27.5, but we should make it a little bit smaller, so maybe 27 1/8.
Yeah, the instructions say to cut them shy by about 3/8.
Okay.
So you want 27 1/8?
Yeah.
I'm going to use your trusty's T-square here, and a brand new blade in our knife. And now the trick, as I understand it, is to use a sawing motion with your blade to cut the facing material first. And then after you've accomplished that, you can score across the whole width of the sheet and cut through the fiberglass itself.
Okay, I assume where we've got light fixtures going in the ceiling, we can use the same method to cut those holes.
No problem.
Good.
As long as you do it slowly. Take it away.
Give it a try.
Good. We're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. Okay, I'll get to work on those. Norm, that looks terrific. Let's get the rest of them in.
Okay.
So Ben, what do you think?
Wow.
You like it?
I'm impressed.
Oh,
Good.
it really looks
very
great.
impressed.
It's a pretty quick transformation, you've got to admit.
It sure is.
Yeah.
It
And
makes it
even-
look like a room.
Yeah, but it sounds different too.
Well, it is an acoustical ceiling. And, you know, once you've got it all in place, it really defines the space, but it also makes it quiet down here.
Looks great.
You've got a number of things left to do, though.
I understand.
So what are we supposed to be doing now?
Well, if I were you, I'd get busy on finishing up the drywall, put another coat of joint compound on it, okay?
That's Debbie's job.
And then get it sanded before we come back to help again. And Norm and I were laying out some of the beadboard for the wainscot along here. I think basically you probably should wait till we're here the
Wait
next
till we have
time.
some help with that.
And we'll give you a few
Okay.
pointers on how to install
Okay.
that. Now, again, I would love it if you would take care of these edges, you know, put a little more insulation in here. But actually, before you do that, let's do something about this concrete. If
Right.
you can get some filler in there and smooth
I
it
have
out.
some filler
Yeah,
for that.
and then put some white paint on it, and then put in some fiberglass in here, but don't compact it, okay?
Just lay it in
You know,
loosely.
that ruins the R value. Just lay it in fluffy. And then we'll help you get both these windows in
Fine.
place.
All right.
And listen, over here, there's still a lot of work to do over here, Ben.
There sure is.
Yeah, you've got a stud wall to build around the perimeter of that area that's
Right.
going to be your new powder room, and you've got a good deal of work to do in
The
the
basic's
alcove
the same
here.
as we've done here, so we just continue on.
Exactly. Stud walls and then drywall. What about the mason that was coming out today?
Well, I had an appointment with him. He was tentatively coming out to see what the job was going to curtail
Well, it's
about
a
putting the hearth
simple
in.
item, just breaking out here and building a false hearth, kind of an
Yeah.
arch.
Simple but hard to get the masons.
Yeah.
Well,
Very hard.
I hope he shows up, because it would be a nice touch. We're running out of time for today. If you can get all that done, the next time we're here, we'll be dealing strictly with building bookshelves and the cabinets in place. So, till next week, I'm Bob Vila for This Old House.
Beautiful. Really.
Presentation of This Old House is made possible by Weyerhaeuser, providers of building materials, services, and other products that help Americans live better at the same address. Weyerhaeuser.
Don't go away. We've got a fundraising break coming up, and then we'll be back to watch the Benedettis continue work on their family room in this special 5-program edition of This Old House. We're expecting to hear from you to help pay for the broadcast of This Old House. Call now.
It's terrific. 215-923-1234. We've got a very special challenge coming up. But first, remember, Homeowner Magazine with detailed descriptions of each of the 13 parts of the new Home Time series is yours for your pledge of $35 or more. If you put it on a credit card, you'll get the license plate holder as well. Mark will tell you more about that in a minute. And these great gloves, just $50, makes you a subscriber to TV12 and gets you these superb gloves. We have a challenge. every pledge that comes in the next 8 minutes will be matched by a group of very generous TV12 subscribers. There we are, 759, 757. That's the number of minutes left, but your dollar is worth $2 to us if you call us right now. So get those phones ringing. We have some terrific volunteers here from Coldwell Banker, and we want every phone to ring like crazy. If you can't get through in the 215 number, call us on the 1-800 number. But we need you to call us. We need you to call us now because your money is doubled, and we've got some terrific premiums to show you in addition to these gloves. And in addition, of course, you're going to get that homeowner magazine. We have some power tools. We have all kinds of things that Mark is going to tell you about right now, but we need more than anything for you to get on that phone because your money is worth twice what it would otherwise be worth if you give us a call right now. 215-923-1234. If you're in Delaware, it's a 302 number, 302-575-1411. If you can't get through on the 800 number, on the 215 number or the 302 number, call us at 1-800-225-1234. The important thing is that you call us and that we get as much as we can of your double value right here. Call us on the 800 number. You're not going to be able to get through on the 215. Call us on the 800 number, 1-800-225-1234. That's fabulous. Just keep trying. If you're having trouble, hang up and call again. Don't say, gee, I did my bit. Call us on the 1-800 number and just keep calling because we need your support and we need it now, and we've got some terrific premiums to talk about. We're going to go to Mark Vogelsang in just a couple of seconds to tell you about some of those. Remember, the gloves, they are terrific. They are yours for $50. Mark has a few more to tell you about, and here he is.
David, those look marvelous on you, I must say. When you call with your pledge of support, we're going to send you this edition of Homeowner Magazine. It's a special edition, and I know you're going to enjoy it. This is something you're going to want to keep for a long time. The telephone number is there, 1-800-225-1234. $35 is the basic subscription. That's how it works. $35. We'll send you Applause Magazine each and every month for the next 12 months. A full year's subscription to our Applause Magazine, which has articles on food and wine, program listings, Better Homes section. It's all yours when you call 923-1234 or the toll-free number right now if you're having trouble getting through, 1-800-225-1234. For a pledge of $36, it's our WHYY coupon power book. This is a great deal, and right now with a pledge of $36, you'll actually be doubling your money for the next 5 minutes when you call with a pledge of $36. If you'd like to be a little bit more generous, we have the WHYY TV12 Shows Me How set of gloves, working gloves for the garden, for the home, for the basement, for the garage, wherever you'd like. These are the gloves to have at 923-1234. Those are yours for a pledge of $50. Now, we're being told that the numbers are busy here in the studio, so call 1-800-225-1234 if you're having trouble getting through. Keep trying that 923 number. There's only 5 minutes left to go, and we need your call right now to help double the amount of money that you wish to pledge right now. If you're going to pledge $50, it'll be worth $100 to us here at TV12. Now I have something very special, the WHYY Black & Decker finishing sander for a pledge of $60. This is yours when you call with a pledge of $60. Or you can have the WHYY Black & Decker heat and strip. That's yours for a pledge of $60 as well. Together combined, both the finishing sander and the heat and strip, Black & Decker, yours for a pledge of $100. It's that simple. $100 is a fantastic deal. We'll give you both of them at 923-1234, but you must call now. 923-1234 is the number to call. You can use your credit card if you'd like. Put it on MasterCard, Visa, American Express. But for $100, we're going to send you both of these. It's a Black & Decker finishing sander and a Black & Decker heat and strip power paint remover. So it's a terrific deal at 923-1234, but you have to call now. Here's David Othman.
Thank you, Mark. I just took a pledge from Mr. Robert Foltz from Norristown, and he just got those two, the sander and they're great. Thank you very much, Mr. Foltz, for having given us that call. We're real busy, but we need your call. If you can't get through at the 215 number, and you probably can't, you should use the 800 number. 1-800-225-1234 is the number to call. Thank you so much. We just got 3 minutes and a third to go before the end of this break, and during that period of time, your subscription will be matched dollar for dollar. In other words, your subscription is worth twice as much if you give us a call in these minutes right now. Give us that call. Remember that more is coming up. We're just halfway through about this break, and halfway through the we're three-fifths of the way through the 5 program series. It's a terrific experiment, and you're responding wonderfully, and we really appreciate that. It's great to get that kind of response as vociferously as we're seeing it right now. I keep rubbing these gloves together because they're just very nice. They're very comfortable. You'll be able to do just about anything you can. 1-800-225-1234 is the number to call because we are jammed up here in the studio on the 215 number. We will be here throughout the afternoon, so if you don't get through during this break, there was a $100 pledge right there. If you don't get through during this break, you can call us during the program, or you can call us anytime during the evening. But just for goodness sakes, don't decide that, well, I tried and I couldn't get through, so I did my bit. You haven't done your bit till you get through to one of these terrific volunteers here from Coldwell Banker and from TV12. A lot of the TV12 people who are here working on the drive, who have abandoned their other jobs to answer phones. Here is Mark Vogelsang again.
You know, David, if you're just tuning in now for the very first time and you're wondering, well, what's the 2-minute warning in the corner of the screen? Well, that simply means there is 2 minutes left in this challenge, that every dollar you pledge right now to TV12 will be doubled. It'll be doubled in the next 1 minute and 57 seconds. But you must call at 923-1234. We'll send you this Homeowners Magazine with any pledge right now at 923-1234. This edition of Homeowners Magazine. Of course, Applause Magazine comes for a pledge of $35. The WHYY Coupon Power Book for a pledge of $36. The gloves you've seen from David Othmer, I'll show them to you one more time, and they're embossed with TV12 Shows Me How. Fantastic deal. And for a pledge of $60, we have the Black & Decker Finishing Sander. That's yours at 1-800-225-1234, or the Heat and Strip. Now, an even better deal, in the next minute, if you want to pledge $100 and had been thinking about pledging $100, both of these together, a Black & Decker Finishing Sander and the Heat and Strip, yours for a pledge of $100, will give you both of them. And certainly, this is a fantastic deal, a finishing sander and a heat and strip. They're both worth well in excess of that at 923-1234, in addition to the amount you wish to pledge to TV12. You can put it on your credit card in the next 50 seconds. We know it'll take that short amount of time, but you have to call at 923-1234. Will you help us meet that challenge? Will you help us go to the phone and pledge of support to TV12? Maybe it's only $20. We hope it's $35 or $40 or $50, but call now, put it on a credit card at 1-800-225-1234. Here's David Othmer.
Thank you, Mark. We know there have been a lot of people who watch This Old House and watch Home Time, and in the past, the response around the fundraising hasn't been as so good. It's been fabulous today, and we really thank you and we welcome you. If you are not a subscriber to TV12 and you've been benefiting from all of the how-tos that we do, and we do an awful lot of them, from cooking to home repair to, and we ourselves are involved with the Home Time series, and we're very, very pleased with that. This is an opportunity to give us a call. 215-923-1234. Somebody's coming at me with a heat gun. It's not plugged in.
Fortunately.
For which I am very happy. Give us that call. We got 3 seconds left to match a good one.
Oh, do it now. Thanks so much.
Give us that call. Thank you so much. You've been just absolutely fabulous.
These two for a pledge of $100. I think they're still available.
I think there's still a few more available. And remember, my favorite, of course, the gloves. Give us a call. Enjoy the rest of the series. Thanks an awful lot.
Thanks.
Your pledge at 215-923-1234 will help keep the great programming right here on subscriber-supported TV12. This Old House on TV12 is made possible in part by The Provident, with services such as home equity credit, home improvement loans, and Loan Line. At The Provident, we take pride in performance. And by a grant from the Haddonfield Lumber Company in Cherry Hill, Collingdale Millwork and Home Supply in Collingdale, and Strathman Lumber Company in Southampton, the service team.
Thanks for joining with your neighbors to support public television. Now let's rejoin the Benedettis for the 4th episode of the special 5-part edition of This Old House.
Presentation of This Old House is made possible by Weyerhaeuser, providers of building materials, services, and other products that help Americans live better at the same address. Weyerhaeuser.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome to this old house. We've got a lot to talk about today. We haven't been here in a week, so we'll be getting a progress report from the homeowners. Norm and I are going to spend most of the show today building some cabinets. And we'll also have a visit from an interior decorator who helps Debbie pick wall surfaces and floor finishes. But I think the most interesting thing we could do right now is meet with Ben and Debbie and see what kind of a week they had.
I hope that you'll be pleasantly surprised with the amount of work that's gone on since you were last here, Bob.
Sure, I will be. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Okay.
What are you doing on this concrete wall here?
Well, we're trying to treat it cosmetically. It's not an outside wall.
That's right. Your garage is on the other side of this.
We don't have to worry about insulation, but we do want to clean it up. We can't stud it out because I'll lose too much of our stair room. So I found some of this mortar mix. I have to fill in some of these voids in the wall.
The big holes in it, yeah.
And just to smooth them over a little bit. And then I found this product that I wanted your opinion on. It's a very thick textured paint.
It's ceiling texture.
Yes, and it just gives a nice finish to the wall.
It's a good idea.
It's washable and it seemed to have fill in the small holes and everything. And I was wondering what you thought of the product.
It's not going to crumble or anything. You've done this, it's already dry.
Yes.
I think it's a good idea because you won't be building out and you'll have a nice bright look there on the only wall that is really...
relatively inexpensive.
Yeah, exactly. Why haven't you done any further work on all the ceilings over here?
Well, we've had to make a decision. We need some help with it. If you can see from here, we're going to be having a headroom problem coming down the stairs. So I think the suspended ceiling can't be put here, and now we're trying to figure out what to put here.
Okay, yeah, in this section, from this beam over to where you
over
are,
here.
you've got to conserve the headroom.
That's
so
right.
I would think that you'd want to just put wallboard right up there, strap across and put up some wallboard.
Yeah.
And then the old laundry chute, take some tin snips and cut it so that it's flush with the ceiling, and then you can just build a little trap door there that flops down against the wall, and you can bring your cart in, catch all the laundry that way. That'll work nicely.
This is pretty nice.
This is great.
You've got
a nice 6-paneled pine door in place.
Pre-hung.
Very good.
Really something to put up. And this separates the utility part of the basement from this part. And it's nice and wide.
Isn't it terrific?
Yeah.
Just a couple of weeks ago, the whole basement looked like that,
That's right.
and now we're
making progress.
Making a lot of progress.
Right.
It's nice that you got a full width.
We were very lucky.
Now you've started cutting your beadboard for your wainscoting, and I really like the job you've been doing on this drywall installation. I can hardly tell where the seams are.
Well,
are you planning to wallpaper this wall, or?
Well, we are. We have a decorator friend of mine coming over to discuss wallpaper later on.
Oh, super.
So
What have you got here?
Intercom. We installed this going to the second floor, and again going up to be one going to the kitchen. It's a necessity.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now is the time to do it when the walls are open.
Well,
a lot
good
easier.
for you. Good for you. Oh, this looks super. Hey, I thought you had the mason lined up to come and chop out some of these bricks. And give you a little archway
but
here.
unfortunately he is still busy. So we're still waiting. He has promised us.
It looks good. I'm really pleased with how much work you've done on the wainscoting, all this beadboard. What's the treatment going to be?
It's going to be stained, a light stain.
Good. That'll be nice because you'll see the grain.
We don't
and
want to cover it with the paint.
Exactly.
No, not at all.
And you've been taking part of the ceiling back down.
Yes, we have.
The plumbers.
Allow the plumbers to work.
Super.
All the new heating pipes.
That was a good idea, you know.
I think it was
a little bit of
wise,
extra money, but you've gotten rid of those old cast iron pipes that were there that would have been a real headache hanging down
well
below
worth
the
it, gives us
ceiling
the extra
line.
headroom.
And you've got all your junk in here, but this is coming along nicely.
All the drywalling is done in here. We've started with the suspended ceiling.
You're still planning on using this as a wet bar and
There's a wet bar and a little
work
desk area there.
That'll be nice.
Right.
You've got another door
Yes,
up to the powder room. Got a lot of work left to do in there.
A lot of work to do in there.
Well, I'm sure you'll get on it. Now, what about back there, where we've been talking about a closet at one point, storage
Well,
closet?
remember, we had planned on putting a closet here for storage. And on second thought, we don't think we want it. We want to go with the base counter cabinet system and a wall system with shelves.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. 'Cause
We're going to balance both sides.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have the same kind of element on both sides of this big, expansive brick. And this is going to primarily be your entertainment
center
area.
We plan on a sofa here, and over in this area here, we want to put some type of reclining chair so we can view over here, TV, and still have that end of the room open for playing.
That'll be very nice. This will have to be a little bit different to accommodate room for the TV section. I hear the saws going. Norm's already up in the garage, isn't he?
Yes.
Well, I think I'll go join him, see how he's doing, and I'd love to talk with the decorator when she comes.
Fine. We're going to start on our painting.
Okay. Hey, Norm, it's great to have a dry garage to set up shop
Oh,
in.
it sure is. We need a little room to make these cabinets.
How are we coming along?
Well, let me show you what I'm building here. These are the cabinets that Ben and Debbie wanted, and what they have is on the upper portion, open shelf cabinets with adjustable shelves, and on the lower portion, just a countertop with a series of doors. Behind the upper cabinets, we're going to put beadboard so that it ties it in with
The wainscoting,
on the sidewall. Now, we made a little extra provision on this side in that we jutted out the counter and left a little extra height on the center of this cabinet so that their TV can fit in there.
Excellent, but we won't do that on the right side of the fireplace.
No, we'll run it straight across over there.
Okay. What's the story with all this sugar pine I see behind you over there?
Well, it may look like sugar pine, but in fact, all these strips of wood have been cut from plywood.
Excellent. Pine plywood,
These
then.
4x8 sheets, yeah, this is pine plywood, and it's about 2/3 the price of clear pine.
It's less money,
So
for
it's
sure.
less money.
The other advantage is that when you use regular clear pine 1x12s, it'll do that on you. It'll cup.
That's right.
And with plywood, you've got a good stable
Nice and
material.
stable, right.
So how far along are you? Are you working on this top unit?
I'm working on the top unit, and I'm just making some of the grooves here. I've machined almost all the pieces, and to make the grooves and some of the rabbets that I need, rabbet cuts, I used a dado head, which is just a series of blades.
Right.
And let me show you, I have one more groove to make.
Okay. Yeah, that's an invaluable,
there is to it.
invaluable tool to have on your table saw.
And let me show you over here. We're almost ready to put this one together in a dry run.
Want to do a test fit?
Sure. Now this is the top, and I've put 2 dados in here to accept these side panels.
Let's do a dry run then.
Okay, and those just slip in like that. Now here's the dado to accept this shelf, which is going to be above the TV. Okay, slide that in. Now on the end, what I did is put a rabbet, which is just like a shiplap cut, on the top and the bottom, so that when we put these together, we'll get a nice tight joint there, and it'll be, you know, good and strong. So that goes like that.
And then this will all be glued and fastened when we're down there with it, right?
That's right. Now
And
on
then
the
over
other
on
end,
this end, the same configuration.
now one thing I'll show you is before we try that, these grooves that I made are for these adjustable shelf standards.
Oh, these could just
They're going
be...
to go in like this, but I want to wait until after they've stained the cabinets before I put them in.
Yeah, very often these will just be surface mounted right on the plywood, but this is a lot more elegant solution.
Right,
for it.
this makes a much nicer job.
And then this
And
one
that
goes
piece
there.
goes there, and then that should fit right on the top there. Okay.
Nice and square and true. Okay, Norm. Why don't we get started on the bottom unit then?
Okay, we'll go down to the basement. I'll show you the base cabinet.
Okay.
Well, Bob, down here, I'm going to build the base cabinet right in place.
Why not just build it up in the garage and bring it down here?
Well, because we're between a couple walls here. We have this wall, and we've got this masonry wall, which is kind of imperfect and uneven. And the chances of me building a cabinet and being able to get it down here and slide right in there perfectly are pretty slim.
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to fit all the pieces between these 2 walls.
And it's also going to be a big, heavy unit, so
That's
that I'd rather avoid having to carry it down.
Okay. Now,
What do we have back here?
Okay, the first thing that we have here is our frame for the toe kick, which would be the first thing we would set in place.
So this is really the base
That's the base.
of the unit, just made out of 2x4s.
2x4s, and I've added a piece of strapping because this space here would be a toe space. And by the time we put the face frame on, if I don't raise it up enough, you won't even be able to slide your foot underneath it.
Gotcha.
So this extra 3/4 of an inch is important.
Okay. Now we know we have a level subfloor here, so you shouldn't have to worry too much
Well,
about
I think we should give it one final check before we nail it down. Okay, when it gets nailed down tight, we're going to be fine. Yeah, let's just check it to the end. Okay, it's not too bad. It's just off, just a hair, but I think we're okay when you get that down tight.
All right, so let's nail it.
All right, and nail it up with some coated nails, and all I'm going to do is toe the frame into the floor. I have a line here that I want to be on.
Okay, Norm. Now with the base well secured to the subfloor, what's the next step?
And the next step is some glue. Before we set the plywood down for the base, I want to glue it down to the frame.
Okay. I'll start at this end.
Every time, whenever you build cabinets, I like to glue everything. Every single piece that we put together, we glue. So that they never fall apart. Just use a good quality carpenter's glue, yellow glue or a white glue. Okay.
Okay.
All right, now let's bring our base around. You can slip your end in first. Okay, I just want to check one thing here. Right on that red line. Check your end, see if you're on that red line.
Perfect.
All right, now I'm going to nail it down with some finish nails. Okay.
Good, they're all nailed and set. What's
Set.
next?
Okay, the next thing to do is we've got to put a frame up here for the countertop, and that's this line right here. And the frame is all built.
Okay, let me get the other end.
That height of this counter is the same as our wainscoting, which is about, I think you're gonna have to lift your end first, Bob. Okay, pull it down. Okay, let's get it up to the line. Now I've already marked my studs. And I'm just going to spike that. Okay, Bob.
Now, that ought to hold two TVs.
That'll hold it.
All right.
Now, I've got the top. I cut it. Let's just put it up there and see if it fits. I don't want to fasten it right now because I want to build the face frame first. I want to make sure it fits okay.
You even got it scribed over here. That's very nice.
Okay.
Beautiful.
That looks good.
All right, so you're not going to nail this down.
No, but let me show you a couple of details that we're going to do to this. All along our wainscoting, we're going to put a chair rail like this, a little cap, and then underneath it, we're going to take a piece of this casing stock and do that.
That'll be beautiful.
Okay, now we're going to carry this piece all the way around and actually use this as an edge for our counter. We'll glue that on there.
And we'll have the molding underneath?
That's right, the molding will be underneath it.
That'll be a nice detail. Okay, well, what's next then?
Well, the next thing to do is that we have to go back up to the garage and take some pine and mill up some stock to build this face frame.
Excellent, let's go do it.
Okay.
Hey, what's going on? We're getting a shower.
Yeah, they predicted a few for today.
Well, you'd hardly notice down in that nice dry family room. Now, what type of pine are you planning to use?
Well, Bob, I put a couple pieces out here. This is number 2 pine, which is relatively inexpensive,
It's the cheap
65,
stuff,
70 cents a foot. But, you know, it's got knots in it, and it would be kind of hard to use for a cabinet. It's really meant to be used for exterior trim where it gets painted and or stained. Yeah. But what we're going to use is D-Select pine, which is about 3 times the cost of this, but it's really meant for cabinets.
It's called D-Select.
That's right. And what that means is that it has some knots, but they're very tight and they're very small.
No, it's beautiful stock.
Now,
But
we
this is
buy
about
it,
$2 a foot, isn't it?
That's right. And I buy it in 1 by 12, 12-inch widths. And the reason for that is because I could go down and get several pieces, you know, the different sizes we might need.
Commonly, you can buy 1 by 2 or 1 by 4 or 1 by 6, whatever.
That's right. But bringing that back, you know, all those pieces and all those edges, they're bound to get nicked and dinged, and then you have a hard time making a good cabinet. This way, I've got one board with only 4 edges, and I can rip out of it anything I want.
Okay.
Also, the cabinet, sometimes we might need a piece that's a little bit bigger or smaller than the standard width. This way I can get any size I want from a 1/4 inch to about 11 1/4 inches.
Okay, so you've got more freedom with
the wider
buying
material.
a 1 by 12.
Right.
What about the table saw itself?
Okay, there's two things that are very important about the table saw. One is this rip fence and the blade. First of all, the rip fence, it's important that it's a heavy steel fence, that it has a mechanism to tighten it both on this rail and on this rail, so that it stays perfectly straight and parallel
to the blade.
With the blade.
Yeah.
And what about parallel to the blade? You have a very difficult time ripping straight pieces.
What about the table itself?
The table itself is also important because it's heavy cast steel, finely machined, so that it won't warp or distort over time. This saw is real old and it's still perfectly good.
Okay, and what type of blade are you using?
Okay, the blade is a carbide tip blade. It's a 60-tooth blade, which means it has 60 teeth all the way around the diameter. They're little pieces of carbide which are welded to the main blade itself.
They're like an actual little chisel there.
Right, very hard steel, and they stay sharp for a long time.
But they cost a lot. I mean, how much do you pay for a blade like that?
That's right. A blade like this is about $50. But, you know, it stays sharper than a regular blade, and you can have it resharpened.
So in the long run, it makes more sense to have a good blade like this,
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Any tips on how you set your fence before you rip?
We have to rip some strips about 1.5 inches, so why don't I set up for those first? Always set up and measure off the fence to the
rather
blade.
than relying on any of the numbers that you get back
that
here.
are on here, right? Because we just
You're
ignore
strong
those.
there,
by 1/8 inch, and I'll show you why I'm doing that in a second. I'm going to rip all my pieces about 1/8 inch wider than what I really want as a finished product. Oh, Bob, even with that nice fine blade, you can see it's still a little bit rough. And what I want to do is I want to have the surface to be as smooth as this, because this edge is going to show as part of the cabinet. So I'm going to use this tool. And what this is a joiner.
Why not just take a hand plane to it?
Well, I could, but, you know, labor is expensive and time is important. And with this tool, I can do it much faster, and I can actually do a better job.
Right.
And how this tool works is similar to the saw. You have a heavy bed, a nice heavy fence, and you have a cast wheel with blades. There's 1, 2, 3 blades set in there.
3 cutting blades, yeah.
They turn at relatively high speed and shave off part of the wood to give us a nice smooth surface.
It's a dangerous tool, though.
Very dangerous. Always make sure this guard is on, because you don't want to slip. You got to keep the wood tight against the fence and tight to the table, and you don't want to stick your fingers in there.
Yeah, let's run it through.
Okay. See what it does? It takes off about 1/16 inch, giving us a nice smooth surface and eliminating this rough surface. Let me finish running that through.
Beautiful. Now, what about all your cross cuts, Norm?
Well, Bob, we'll take the pieces that we rip and bring them down right to the cabinet location, and in that case, we'll use a power miter box to cut all our pieces to length.
All right.
To the proper length.
Boy, Norm, this is really coming out beautiful. The face frame looks excellent, and look at that nice tight joint there.
Okay, would you like to try a hand at it?
Sure.
Over here, you can, this piece is missing the bottom rail. Why don't you put that in?
Let me get it over here.
Grab that piece of stock we made up in the garage.
Now, when you're building cabinets, you rarely use a measuring tape, right?
That's right. You always hold it and mark it.
Fitting and marking.
But before you do that, let's not, you don't know for sure if this edge is nice and square, because this came right from upstairs. You should take it up to the miter box and cut it, so that we're starting with the square edge to hold against the style.
Trim about 1/2 inch off of it.
That's right.
Now, the power miter box is a tool that's really become almost universal with most contractors.
That's right. It's only come out in the last 6 or 7 years, but now everybody's using them.
But you can count on getting a good square cut with it. And it's got a break on it.
Okay, now when you bring this back to the cabinet, make sure that this face is the side that's going to show. Because you can see that's a nice clean cut.
Yeah.
But on the back side, because of the blade rotation, it chips a little bit.
Right.
Okay, so always keep the face.
So this is our outside face.
That's right, smooth edge up.
Okay, have you got a fine point on your pencil?
Okay, I got a nice.
Now, which is the best way to take a mark? By fitting it in, like, into the corner like that?
No, because you're at an angle. Tip it up on the side.
Yeah.
And just enough to catch it. And put a very small mark there. Not too big because, especially with stain, we don't want to have to sand those pencil marks out.
Okay.
Okay, now you can take it up and cut that end.
Keeping, again, the right face up.
That's right. And just leave that mark. Because you can always trim it again, but if you cut it too short. Okay, let's give it a try. That's okay. If it's a little snug, just tip it in there. Okay, that's what we want. We want it snug so that joint fits good.
Yeah,
okay, that fits good.
It'll be fine, but I think we better put some glue on it.
That's right. We glue everything when we build cabinets. Why don't you just run some glue down the back of that? Okay, and put a little bit on each end here so that the joints will be glued. Good. Now, you know, when you build cabinets, really, the thing that holds them together is the glue. But while the glue sets, we have to hold it in place. So what I'll do is just use some small finish nails and nail it in to hold it.
And I'll take a damp rag, which is another thing you want to have when you're working with glue.
Right, especially if you're going to stain it later. You want to wipe all that glue off. And just set the nails in a little, and we can come back later and fill those holes in the finishing process.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Bob, on this wall cabinet, I'm putting some adhesive, panel adhesive on the wall so that the boards on the back of the cabinet will be secured there.
So that they won't
cabinet
cover
will be,
anything, the
that's
loose
right.
boards. Okay.
It's pretty heavy, so.
Okay, this is going to be excellent.
All right, I think we're there.
Yeah. It's a gorgeous fit.
I'll put a couple nails to hold it in place for now, and I'll add some screws later to make sure it doesn't pull off of the wall.
Well, Ben and Debbie are really going to be pleased with this. One of the hardest things about any remodeling job is towards the end when you have to start picking the wallpaper. That's when an interior decorator really comes in handy.
Well, Roberta, what do you think about this? Ben was sort of leaning towards this last night.
Yeah, I really like the colors, but I think there are too many stripes in the design.
I think so.
Hello, ladies.
Hi, Bob.
I guess
How are
you've gotten to the fun part.
Yeah, Hi. This is Roberta.
How are you?
Bob. My
Nice to meet you.
decorators. Been helping with the rest of the house.
So you're getting professional help here.
Yes, I think we need it.
Let me ask you a question. How do you go about figuring out the design or the look you want for a room like this? What are the considerations?
Well, our first consideration was the wainscoting, which goes all around the room.
Mm-hmm.
We have wood bookcases going in on either side of the brick.
Mm-hmm.
The brick here, and we have a new suspended ceiling put in.
Right, I know all that, but what does that tell you?
Well, there's a lot of lines in the room already, and it's very busy.
Different materials, busyness. Okay.
Right.
So what do you opt for?
Well, our first thought was to go with a natural texture, which is a grass cloth. But when we put it up,
It gets lost,
You were
doesn't it?
bored to tears by it, right?
right,
Yeah.
not enough interest. So then we thought maybe an artificial textile, which had a little bit more life to it.
That's paper, but it looks like a cloth or a fabric.
Exactly.
I still think it's wrong.
I think it was
I do
more
too.
contemporary feeling, and Ben and I decided last night that the wainscoting really set the mood for the room.
Right.
I think it sets a very country feeling.
Absolutely.
And so Roberta
So you
and I
stop
have
looking at these, and what else have you looked
Right.
at?
going
Pineapples.
on to
Pineapples. Very early American look. But once again, this one we felt was too small a pattern, and once again, too many stripes.
And too busy.
Right. Too
Yeah, and I
busy
can
for
see
the
where
room.
stripes would be wrong, because you've got all the vertical lines of the
Exactly.
wainscoting. Uh-huh.
So we came up with this, which has our early American look.
There.
I think it's right there.
There you
here. And it adds more color to the room.
That's certainly
A
early
little
American.
bit more interesting.
And it has that stencil feeling that I originally talked about.
Yeah, and it's a family room, and it's nice to have some vivid colors like the red and the green in there.
Right, nice and cozy.
And also, Bob, Ben and I have been experimenting here with the beadboard.
Yeah, what have you done to it?
Well, we've just taken a wash of 50% paint, 50% thinner, and then just put it on and washed it off with a rag. And it just seems to seal the pine. It takes the yellowness away from it.
Right, it kind of whitens it up, but it approximates that cream or parchment background you've got on the paper.
We're wondering how you felt about that.
Well, you've got to do something to it, and I'd rather see the knots and the grain of the wood come through rather than have you paint over it.
Yes.
I think this is a good idea, because otherwise the pine is apt to turn kind of orange and dark, like, you know, with a couple of years age on it. What about flooring? And I mean, I guess you go for that first, and then you have to pick the flooring material, don't you?
Right. Yes, and Ben and I have been mulling over and discussing about rugs versus vinyl goods. And I think I've won out with the vinyl goods, with the children and the animals and the spills that have to be picked
Controlled, yeah.
So I think we've been looking at the vinyl goods.
Well, you've got tons of samples here. Have you decided on any?
Well, Roberta and I have been mulling over them, and I think we've come down to two. I don't think we've really made a decision, but it's between these two here, Bob. I think we're leaning more towards this in the color tones. These were nice, but the brickwork was too small in them.
The pattern,
in one way or the other, the colors were wrong in the rest of them. So I think it was between these two, and it's going to be another day or two, I think, before we actually make the decision.
Yeah, and you'll probably have some scatter rugs on top of it to make it cozy.
That's right, to bring in some color.
Roberta, what about our special windows that we have here? I guess you're aware of just what the purpose is.
Right. Well, we're going to have a light behind the window so that it will just wash the window with light, and we're going to soften just a bare window with a fabric valance and little tiers that will come down on the side. And then in the middle of the window, we're going to put a pleated shade.
What's the purpose of that?
Well, this will let the light in from the outside, but it will block the view from in the room.
Beautiful. Well, I can hardly wait to see you get started.
Well, very soon, Bob, we hope.
Well, that's about it for today. We're running out of time. Join us again next week when we'll have our final show here, and we'll get everything completed, from furniture and flowers down to that fake fireplace. Till then, I'm Bob Vila for This Old House.
Presentation of This Old House is made possible by Weyerhaeuser, providers of building materials, services, and other products that help Americans live better at the same address. Weyerhaeuser.
Don't go away. The Benedettis will be finishing their project in our next episode, coming right up after the break. If you haven't already done it, help pay for the broadcast of your favorite public television programs. Please call now.
You heard Bob Vila. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to have the final episode of This Old House in this series, coming up in just a moment here on TV12. Call now. 923-1234 is the number to call. You surprised us last break. You showed us how important This Old House is to you. Call us right now at 9234 and tell us how important it is to you, how important that we hear from you right now at 923-1234. When you call, we're going to send you Homeowner Magazine. This edition, this special edition of Homeowner Magazine, absolutely free, but you have to call at 923-1234. I'm Mark Vogelsang. David Othmer is here tonight, and we have some terrific gifts for you, including this Old House Guide to Building and Remodeling Materials. If you're embarking on a project, this is the book to have, the Bible for those folks who are remodeling. 923-1234. It's yours when you call with your pledge of support. We'll tell you all about it in just a moment. This Old House is counting on you. So here's the host with a special challenge.
Hello, I'm Bob Vila. I was glad to hear about the popularity of This Old House in the Delaware Valley. And now I'd like to see that loyalty backed up with some solid support. So I've got a challenge. I want 100 This Old House fans to call the numbers on the screen now and subscribe to TV12 with a pledge of $35 or more. If you've enjoyed This Old House on TV12, remember, we need your support to keep it there and to ensure its continued high quality. We also need you now to help meet my challenge of 100 pledges. So call the numbers on the screen. We're keeping track of the calls, and we'll let you know as soon as you've met that challenge. Call now and help us build a better future on Channel 12.
Thank you, Bob Vila. You heard it right there. 100. We're up to 6 already. We need your call. 215-923-1234. $50 gets you this handsome This Old House t-shirt that I'm wearing right here. But we need you to keep calling. We've got a number of phones that are still free right here in the studio. We've got some more people in than we did last time, and we're really loading up. We're ready for you. 215-923-1234 is the number to call. If you can't get through, of course, you can call 1-800-225-1234. There are up to 14 pledges. That's only 86 to go, but we know we can do it with your help. Remember, the Homeowner's Manual, Homeowner's Magazine, is a very special issue just talking about the Home Time series that we have. That's good. So WHYY presentation on PBS, on public television. It is yours absolutely free with your subscription of $35 or more. And if you put that on a credit card, you get two things absolutely free from us, both the magazine and the license plate holder. If you put that on a credit card. So get out your credit card, give a call. Wonderful people from Coldwell Banker are here tonight to take your pledge, and we're just waiting for you to give us a call. I want to talk to you a little bit, excuse me, about this great book, The Guide to Building and Remodeling Materials by Bob Vila and Norm the carpenter. Norm Abram, the carpenter. We've been looking at this. It's a very detailed book. It's almost 500 pages worth of very extensive details on how to build materials, different kinds of things. It is absolutely essential. In fact, I've been using it myself on some projects that I've been working on. We're all busy on the 215 number. Call us at the 800 number. 1-800-225-1234 is the number to call. You can get through on that right now. Give us that call. We're up to 42 pledges. We're almost halfway there. Thank you for calling. Keep calling and use the 800 number right now if you can. It's a wonderful response. Remember, $50 brings you either this book or this T-shirt that I've got on right here. It is yours for a pledge of $50. They're those gloves. They wouldn't let me wear the gloves during this break, but I still like the gloves, and if you want the gloves, call in for the gloves. By the way, we're all out of the sanders and the heat guns. We're all out of them, so please don't call us for the sanders or the heat guns, but boy, do we have a great number of T-shirts and books here. We need your help. Give us a call. 215-923-1234 is the number to call, or 1-800. In fact, concentrate on that 1-800 number. 1-800-225-1234. That's the number to call. We need your support. We're up to almost 60. We're almost 2/3 of the way to our goal of 100 pledges, to Bob Vila's goal of 100 pledges. But we need your call. 215-923-1234. It's been great, the kind of response that we've gotten today. It's just been an absolute pleasure to be here and to see how much you really appreciate this old house and the kind of how-to programs that we bring you every week here on TV12. Here again is Mark Vogelsang.
Thanks very much, David. It's true. It is so, so true. Your dollars, your pledges help pay for the programming that we offer here on TV12. When you call 1-800-225-1234, you're making a difference for TV12. Let's just check how we're doing. We have volunteers from Coldwell Banker. Some of the staff members are busy. We have a goal of $101.2 million. We are just over the 500,000 mark, and we are at 71 pledges in the Bob Vila Challenge. You too can help us when you call 1-800-225-1234. I just got off the phone with someone who said, I didn't know that you could pledge that you ask for money during these shows. I really like public television, but I didn't know that you had to pay for it. Very simple. A large percentage of our listeners aren't subscribers. We'd like you to become a subscriber. If you've never pledged to TV12 before, if you've never done it before, but yet enjoy the value of Bob Vila and Norm Abram and all the great programming on TV12, call that number, 1-800-225-1234. Put it on your credit card, your Visa, your MasterCard, American Express, and help us reach our goal. We are at 81 pledges so far. As you can see on the number behind me, we're just over $500,000 in total pledges, but we're waiting for your call. We'll send you this special book. It's a This Old House book, Guide to Building and Remodeling Materials. When you call with your pledge, that's yours for a pledge of $50. But it's important, so vitally important, that you go to the phone right now and call. The telephone number is there, 1-800-225-1234. If you're having trouble getting through on the 923 number, for heaven's sakes, don't hang up, but try again. Don't quit, but try again and make a pledge of support to TV12. We'd love to hear from you here. We're very excited in the studio for what we have to offer, and as you can see, everyone here is busy answering your phone calls. They're saying, simply, here's how it works. Simply give your name, your address, how much you want to pledge, and what gift you'd like in exchange for thank you. You could even put it in your credit card as well, and we'll send you a free gift for putting it on your credit card. What could be easier than going to the phone right now and dialing 1-800-225-1234? You can try the 923 number, but I think we're busy in the studio, so keep calling at 1-800-225-1234. 1234. Here to tell you about some of those gifts that we have. Oh, we're at 92 so far, is David Othmer. David?
Thank you, Mark. Just got a call from Rick Ferry of Havertown. He made a pledge. Thank you very much, Mr. Ferry. Give us a call. No, you can't get through in at 215. Call us at 1-800-225-1234. You can get through in 215 because Mr. Ferry just got through to us. But we urge you to give us a call. If you get a busy signal on one number, call us on another. And we thank you so very, very much for your response. Remember, the Homeowner Magazine tells you all about Home Time, the series that's also coming your way on TV12 and comes to you in part because of TV12. And that is here. That is absolutely free to you with every pledge of $35 or more. If you put it on a credit card, we'll send you this terrific license plate holder. You can get that also absolutely free for a pledge. 1-800-225-1234. We're at 97. We're at 98. We're getting very close to the Bob Vila challenge. We thank you all for having called. 99. I know we're going to make it. I just have that feeling that we're going to make the Bob Vila challenge. There we are. Thank you very much. You've been absolutely stupendous. What a great, great audience, and what a great pleasure it's been to be with you. We got one more episode of This Old House, the conclusion of this project, and then the great James Taylor concert, and then the Faulty Towers Marathon. It's just going to be a fabulous, fabulous evening, thanks to you, because each one of those programs is made possible in part by you if you're a subscriber, and now an awful lot more people are subscribers than were just a couple of hours ago. Subscribers make most of our programs possible to some extent, and we really appreciate it when you can give us a call. 215-923-1234, 1-800-225-1234. By the way, $35 is the basic subscription, and for just $1 more, $36, we'll send you this coupon power book, and the coupon power book is fabulous. It has all kinds of things from restaurants to how-to shops, to Phillies games, to all kinds of wonderful stuff. Give us a call. We're going back to This Old House in just a few seconds, but first, a last word from Mark Vogelzang.
Well, quite frankly, there is not much time left to do it, and we appreciate your call so far. And we also know the number of you haven't called. We're wondering why not. This book is yours when you pledge $50. Maybe you want to pledge $35 or $100. But call now at 923-1234. We don't have very much time, and we are going to bring you a whole nother episode of This Old House still to come. David Othmer and I will be here for a while longer at least yet, so call with your pledge of support. All of you who have called, keep trying and couldn't get through, I guess.
We'll be here answering the phones. T-shirt, $50. The book is $50.
All yours.
The gloves, $50. It's terrific. Give us a call, 215-923-1234. We'll be here, 120 responses. Thank you so very, very much.
Thanks, everyone.
So long.
We rely on your pledge here at TV12 WHYY. So make that pledge now at 923-1234.
It's time to play the Delaware Lottery's numbers games. Hosting tonight's drawings is Denise Lacey. Inside the play, 3 machines are 10 balls numbered 0 through 9. Let's mix them in the first machine, the second machine, and the third machine. Hi, everybody. It's Saturday, March 12th, 1988. First, we'll try to pick your lucky play 3 number by selecting 1 digit from each machine. Our first digit is a 1. Our second digit is a 3. And our third digit is a 0. So tonight's lucky play 3 number is 130. That's 130. Inside the play 4 machines are 10 balls numbered 0 through 9. Let's mix them in the first machine, the second machine, the third machine, and the fourth machine. Now we'll try to pick your lucky play 4 number. Our first digit is a 9. Our second digit is a 9. Our third digit is a 3. And our fourth digit is a 2. So tonight's lucky play 4 number is 9932. That's 9932. All numbers selected are unofficial until validated. Be sure to tune us in each Tuesday and Friday night at 7:28 to find out if you are the lucky Lotto Jackpot winner. Tuesday night's Lotto Jackpot has an annuity value of approximately $350,000 if one winner only. Good luck and good night, everybody.
Thanks for understanding that it's your support that helps bring you your favorite programs on public television. Now, let's rejoin the Benedettis for the 5th program of this special edition of This Old House.
Presentation of This Old House is made possible by Weyerhaeuser. Providers of building materials, services, and other products that help Americans live better at the same address. Weyerhaeuser.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. Welcome to This Old House, and today's the 5th and final episode here in the basement. Ben and Debbie's basement, which is now their family room. If you recall, when we started, we had nothing but bare concrete floors, concrete foundation walls. That has all changed. We've got new partitions up, new flooring. It is a super insulated space, and today we're going to be getting together with Joe Ruggiero, who's in the business of helping people figure out where to place their furniture and their belongings. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Bob.
How are you?
Good to see you. Fine.
First question is, just how do you go about figuring out where you put what?
Well, I think that's a good question. Basically, what we would do is start with a plan. And here we have a plan that we worked out with Debbie and Ben. They wanted to create two areas, one being the parents or the adult area
On
with
this side,
watching television and conversation. And then the other side of the room would be more for the children, so they can work and play. I also suggest that you take swatches from the upholstered pieces and put them together on a board that you could have when you go shopping for accents or accessories, because the entire color scheme's right at hand.
Makes it a lot easier than trying to remember what color the couch was. and so
Exactly.
forth. Yeah. Now, it looks like you went out, or else they had a lot of antique furniture to bring in here.
Well, we did use a lot of the things that they had collected. We did bring in some antiques, but most of the furnishings in this room are reproductions.
What about the chair you're sitting on? And
Well, for example, this is an actual antique. And the reason I like it is that it adds some interest to the wall. It gives it a little profile here. And
the weather vane, yeah.
Right, and it is a collector's item. This piece is a reproduction of a Shaker chair. And the Shakers numbered their chairs. This happens to be a number 7, so it probably belonged to the great-grandfather.
So the bigger the number, the bigger the person?
That's right.
Yeah.
This chest is pine, and it is also a reproduction, and I'd like to show you the profiling along the bottom. It gives it kind of a Pennsylvania Dutch feeling. It really looks like a country piece. And then using pieces that are mementos of the family. I like to use these brass pieces because they belong to Debbie and Ben's family. Talking about antiques, this is a photograph of an antique sampler, and it's been printed. So it almost looks like an original, and yet it's just a reproduction.
Yeah, you can almost see the texture of the stitches from here.
Exactly.
Terrific. What about choosing contemporary furniture or upholstered furniture to go in a room
Well,
like
as
this?
I had mentioned before, with the plan, they wanted this room, or this area of the room, for television viewing. So Ben wanted a recliner, and Debbie didn't like them because she said they were too big.
Now, is this
so
one?
we came up with this idea, and that's a recliner.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's small in scale, so it really doesn't look like a big overstuffed recliner.
It does fit in. It's not one of those
functional.
huge ones. What about the couch there?
Okay, we used a small print, country print on this, because I didn't want it to compete with the wall covering, which has a pretty predominant pattern. So we selected a small country print. And here's an idea that's very popular today in decorating, and these are called throws. And the reason I like it is because it brings all the colors together in the room. And it also is an energy saver, because on those cold winter nights you could wrap it around and get warm.
It'll
The
keep you warm.
This, another idea, bring personalization into the room. And these pillows were done by Debbie. This one was handmade by her, and I think it becomes a nice conversation piece, and it gives a little color accent too. as well.
Absolutely. Now, what's going to be happening over here? Is everything already arranged? Is there any logic to how you arrange things out?
Collections. Collections are very popular today for a lot of reasons. People love to collect things, shop, go on sprees. These are English spongeware and stickware bowls. This is Margelica, which is very popular today because of the interesting shapes and the colorations. Many of the colors in these pieces pick up the colors in the room. And also another piece, this was given to Debbie and Ben. It's a whirligig, and we just think it fits perfectly.
Now,
in
that's
that
a
dish.
reproduction, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it looks like an old piece.
But the Mallorca over here is really antique.
That is right.
Super. You know, I really like the area rug that you've thrown in here. It's not too busy, but it has that real nice texture, and it goes nicely with this floor that we have in the whole area, which just went down about 2 or 3 days ago, and quite an interesting process it was. Let's take a look.
Good.
Okay, well, that's going to be a beautiful floor, Rusty. I mean, it's almost like instant gratification when you roll out these vinyl sheet goods, but you and I know that there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. We had started off here with a subfloor that was 3/4-inch pine plywood, tongued and grooved at the joints, and I thought that would be all we needed. You've added another layer here.
Yes, we put down a Lawan plywood board with a solid core.
It's only, what, about a 1/4 inch thick?
Yes.
And I guess the important thing is that that inner core is solid.
Right. There's no voids or no knot holes in there to break through.
So that you don't ever have to worry about somebody in a high spiked heel or something going through and puncturing.
Right.
And then what have you done to, what's all this white stuff that we see down here?
Well, first we put the lawn on top of the original plywood and staggered the joints so they wouldn't move.
Oh, it's not running in the same direction that the underlayment is?
It's gone the opposite way. And then after that, we've used a latex floor leveling compound on the seams to take up any more imperfections between the sheets of lawn.
Very good. So you end up with an absolutely flat subsurface that this material goes over. Let's talk about the vinyl sheet goods here. How expensive is this?
Well, they range from maybe $4 a yard up to $30 a yard. This particular one is $30 a yard.
That's a heck of a spread from $4 to...
It is, but it's the process in which it's made and the amount of material that's put into the product.
And the amount of time that it takes to manufacture it, I guess,
yes,
right?
like the $4 a yard goods, they can put that out, I think it's 5 city square blocks a minute.
The equivalent of 5 city blocks a minute?
A minute, yes.
And this takes
that
longer.
Is fast.
How is this made?
This is made in layers. First, they start off with a fiberglass mat. All right. On top of that, they pour the solid vinyl color crystals.
Chips?
Chips, excuse me, yeah. And on top of that, they pour solid vinyl, and then it's cured together.
I see. Yes. Is there any variation in the amount of vinyl that's poured over the whole thing?
Yes, yes. The more expensive ones, the more wear layer. This one has a 25 mil thickness.
So that's a lot, yeah.
Yes.
And then is the white backing applied later?
Yes, the whole thing's turned over and this white cushioned resilient backing is applied, and that takes up any impact from like high heels. They won't puncture it. They'll have memory to it. It'll come back and nice.
It's resilient, so it has a memory. It bounces right back. Great. Well, let's talk about the actual installation, because we've laid it out, but obviously it's not installed yet. By laying it out, you've got the grid pattern in such a way that if I stand here and look down this line, that line looks parallel to it.
Right.
It's squared off. Are you ready to start cutting and trimming?
Yes, I am. I'm going to start cutting right over here.
What kind of a knife do you use?
Well, for this particular, we use a hook knife. And there's a sharp edge on the inside of the hook, which cuts the goods, but on the outside it's dull, so it doesn't cut your woodwork or...
So you don't have to worry about going through and damaging the baseboard or whatever. Okay, where are you going to get started?
Right over here.
All right. Boy, at $30 a yard, you want to make sure you don't make any mistakes when you're cutting and trimming, right?
Right.
Now here you've got a bump out. How do you deal with that?
Well, you just give a small slice around the corner.
Oh, and then just trim.
Right.
Rusty, what's the estimated life of a floor like this?
Well, you can't wear this stuff out. This is about 20 to 30 years expectancy. And you'd probably change your decor before you could wear it out.
Well, Rusty, having it all nicely trimmed now, I guess you're ready to put the adhesive down, right?
Right. And this is a special adhesive that's made just for this backing on these goods. Oh. What it does is it reacts to the backing and bonds it.
Are you sure? It looks like Thousand Islands dress. It's a chemical product that will react to the backing on the goods, you said?
Bond it right down to the lawn.
Great. Why don't you get started? You're using a notched trowel. Not much of a notch to it.
No, about a 1/16 of an inch, but it's a recommended notch trowel. Leaves just the right amount of glue.
Okay, I'll let you go to it.
Thank you.
Do you have to work real quickly with this stuff?
Not really. It probably will have about a 30-minute setup time on it.
Oh. How come you're not coming out all the way to the edge?
That's so when we cut our seam in the vinyl, we have some room to peel back the goods and get the glue underneath it.
I see. I'm surprised at how little you actually have to put on.
Yes, it doesn't take much with these new glues they put out today.
And now you just roll it back into place, right?
Right.
Okay, so now you're ready for the persuader over here?
Yes, it's a 100-pound roller.
Yeah.
And you have to roll it into the glue, both directions, evenly. Takes out the air bubbles, and it makes sure that all the backing is pushed directly into the glue.
Rusty, why don't I give you a hand with this, which I think is just about my speed. You can get started on the adhesive on the other side. Whoa, it's heavy, but it's just like mowing the lawn, isn't it?
Good choice on the floor, Bob, because this obviously will receive a lot of wear from the children, and I think it'll work very well. Speaking about the children, let me show you the area that I've designed for them. There's no upholstery over here. We've used mostly wood pieces, and this has nice rounded edges, so they're not sharp, so you don't have to worry about the children
falling into them and getting hurt. But is this sturdy?
Very sturdy, and these are reproductions of Windsor chairs, so that same antique feeling is on this side of the room as well as the other. Speaking of sturdy, the tabletop here is designed so that the children can do crayoning, they can do their homework, they can have refreshments, snacks, what have you. And it also serves very well for Debbie and Ben because the table opens up, and if they want to entertain with buffet or refreshments, they can do that as well.
How have you planned for the, well, the necessary mess that usually occurs in a playroom?
You want to get those toys away quick.
Yeah.
So if you open that up, all the base of this unit is designed so the children can stow those toys away. And also I've scattered some interesting baskets throughout this side of the room because I think it's nice for the children to be able to learn to put their things away as well.
Yeah, that makes it quick and easy too.
Exactly.
I noticed that you continue to have kind of precious things on display.
Well, I like to keep the collection going on this side of the room as well, and I think it's important that children respect fine things and also learn to appreciate them. They might even want to start their own collection with found objects such as this shell and let them display their objects or stones.
That is a good idea. You know, I really appreciate this rocking chair that you've put in over here. It would make it, well, I would stay in it all day, but actually I wanted to point out to you this area of the family room.
Interesting.
Where we wanted to really provide the kids with an area, a wet area, where they could clean up after projects or start finger painting projects and things like that. And this whole section came together because, well, first of all, they had this antique ice box that they brought with them when they bought this house. And so they went off to a home improvement center where they found these cabinets, which are really a beautiful match. The finish is very close to them, and they have this nice recessed look. Yeah, and also over here, if you haven't peeked, in an area that was just a dark little cubby hole in the basement, we've managed to give them a half bath with all sorts of nice details, like the oak toilet seat, and over here where the lav is, we have even the fine touches of oak.
Looks like an antique.
On the faucet handles, and brass, of course. And the wallpaper, which looks like it was a neat trick. It wasn't that easy to put it up. Let's take a look. Now, Bud, how do you get started with a tiny little room like this?
Well, Bob, we're dealing with 21-inch goods here, and I've laid this room out in such a way that we're not going to be short of the door casing or the countertop.
So that's the first objective, not to end up having to put up a 1-inch or 2-inch strip of paper.
Right, we don't want any nasty little short strips here.
Okay.
And I've got 15 inches off the left side of the paper.
So you're not starting with a full sheet right up against the corner.
That's right, that's exactly right.
You're starting with a 15-inch strip.
And put the remaining 6 inches on the other side.
Okay, so how do you cut it?
Okay. Well, here's the paper here that we have pasted up already.
Oh, you've got a whole bunch of strips all ready to go.
Right.
This one's already been pasted.
This is all pasted.
Booked, right? Which means you folded it up?
That's right. We need 15 inches off of the left side. So I'll just measure over 15 inches, and I will cut through both ends of the paper.
Don't you have a pencil?
That's too dark, and it's much more accurate this way, I think, Bob. So then...
Well, that's a good tip. So you end up with 2 cut marks on either end of the...
So then when you turn the paper around, you just use the straight edge, and you have the 2 notches that you line up to. And then simply make your cut.
Yeah, that's production. That would go a lot quicker.
This is
so
the 6-inch piece.
You're going to use that piece on one side and this piece on the other, right?
That's exactly right.
I'll help you bring it in there.
Hey.
Which one goes in first?
Put the big side in first, Bob. Okay. I've already checked the corner, so it's perfectly plumb, and it's important that the first strip is hung plumb, because if the first one's crooked, they'll all be out of plumb. And it's important that this first strip is also hung plumb, and you need to, pick up your match. This happens to be a straight across match. And you just simply put it into place
This would be an easy paper to match up, wouldn't it?
It would be.
Just
It's
kind of
very
like flat
easy.
as opposed to one of those big,
Right.
flowery seams.
I have a level here that I can double check on that it is plumb. Okay. And just simply run this one down.
So once you got your starter corner in like that, does it matter whether you're going to the right or to the left?
No, it doesn't. You can go both ways, Bob. Just carry it right on around the room.
You know, we went to great trouble to make sure that this whole basement family room was super insulated, the walls, the floor, but even so, you need some additional heat for those really cold winter days. This is radiant baseboard heat. Take a look at how it's installed.
Okay, first of all, we have right here an 8-foot section of baseboard. They come in increments from 2 to 8 feet.
In 1-foot increments?
1-foot increments. It goes against, we lift this up and put it right against this back wall.
And that's a non-mechanical part. That's just a backboard, sort of.
That's right. We slide it to the end, and we make sure that this is level. Next thing we do is we screw it to the wall.
Well, that's nice and secure now. Yeah, that's good and tight. So what have we got over here, Mike?
Over here, we have a piece of copper fin tube baseboard that we're going to connect.
Okay, this is the real working part of the baseboard heat. And it's just a copper pipe with these fins attached to it to radiate the heat. What happens at that end?
Over here, we're going to connect into the existing boiler, and all it is a loop that goes right back to the heating system.
And over here, I think before you can connect it, you're going to have to trim it or cut it off, right?
Yes, we're a little bit long there. Trim it with a hacksaw.
Is it critical how many fins you have on these?
It does make a difference. It increases the BTUs the more fins you have.
Okay. So now, what's next?
Okay, working at my end where the boiler is, we're going to flux up each one of the joints. Although each of the copper, all the copper does look shiny, it should be cleaned, which it was done before we started fluxing.
What does the flux actually do?
The flux actually helps the solder to run around evenly and flow.
So essentially, you're dry fitting all the pieces along the way.
That's right.
What's next, Mike?
Right now, we're going to put another piece of pipe on the top of the baseboard to complete the loop.
Okay.
This is the return pipe.
That's right.
So the water that's going through there is basically water that's returning back to the boiler to get heated up again.
Right, it has less BTUs in it.
Okay. Looks like there's going to be some trimming required.
That's right. Joe's going to measure it off now and fit it up.
Okay. Now, you wouldn't be using a hacksaw to cut this pipe, would you?
No, there'd be too many burrs.
That's a nice little pipe cutter, is it? Tube
right.
cutter?
Excellent.
Meanwhile, down at this end, I've cleaned and fluxed both ends of the copper baseboard, and I've cleaned and fluxed both of these fittings. This being a brass tee with a bleeder, so that in the event that we have to drain the system down, we have a bleeder here and we can let the water out. Okay, I'll put that on. And this goes on the top. Actually, it helps if you take them off and slide them both together.
Yeah.
So that they fit.
I thought I was the only one who had trouble putting those things together.
Now we're going to solder up the fittings.
Okay, is that it?
That's it. All we have to do now is just give the joint a minute or so to cool, and we'll be ready.
Now, when do you inspect it, and how do you inspect it?
We'll inspect it by pumping it up with some compressed air and checking for any leaks.
Mm-hmm. Can we see what the cover's going to look like?
I've got it right here,
We'll
Bob.
go right in now.
Does this just snap on around these little hooks?
Yeah, first on the bottom of the hook, and then
Just hold
press it right on the top. It snaps into place. And Mike's got the end piece.
That looks nice, Mike.
That's it, Ben. Do you like it?
I love it.
Where do I send the bill?
Now, located throughout the family room suspended ceiling are recessed lights, as planned by our lighting consultant, Dick Metcher. Like everything in life, there's a couple of tricks to installing these. Take a look. Debbie, you're sure this is where you want that other recessed fixture?
Yes, I am, Bob. I have a piece of furniture here that I want a downlight on.
Table or something. So, Mike, how do we hook it up?
Well, Bob, I go up here. I got a wire up here from the rough-in before.
So we find our wire.
That's the wire. All right, pass me that housing.
And then we connect this wire to the housing for the recessed fixture.
Another knife, Deb?
All right. What kind of knife are you going to...
I'll take my electrician's knife and I'll strip this non-metallic sheeted cable. All right. Being careful not to nick the wires that are inside.
You kind of tucked the tip of the blade in and then just
using the
along the
tip.
side, yeah.
Why are you stripping so far back, Mike, too?
Well, it gives you enough wire to work with when you're inside the box. All right. Now I'll cut this cable back. And I'll take the wires and I'll insert them into the Romex connector. You would connect the bare copper wires first, which would be your ground.
Yeah.
Then you would connect your two white wires, which are your neutral wires.
Yeah.
And then the last two would be your black wires, which are your two hot wires.
Now, with the wire firmly connected to the box, what's the next step, Mike?
I would make up my three wires. First, my two bare wires.
The bare copper wires
Which are your
first.
ground wires.
You're going clockwise.
Clockwise.
Any reason for that?
Turning it clockwise tightens it down even tighter.
Okay.
Tighten with the lineman's blade, tuck it away.
Okay, now with all the wires firmly connected, what's the next step, Mike?
All right, Bob, now we'd put the housing up into the ceiling.
And how is it going to hang up there?
Well, putting the recessed hangers over the ceiling tile.
What's going to hold them in place, though? It seems.
Now we have 4 clips. Deb, clip, please.
Okay.
For those black items.
These go right over the hangers, Bob, and right down onto the ceiling tile.
Now, with this safely secured onto the ceiling grid, that's about it. It's not going to go anywhere. What do you do next?
Oh, Bob, we still have to secure it because according to the code, it has to be independently secured from the ceiling.
Oh.
So what we do is we drive in a nail on each side.
Into the joist.
Into the joist. And we hang a piece of copper wire. That piece of wire. And the purpose of this is, if the ceiling did ever happen to fall, the light would still be hanging. I've seen a ceiling with 50 fluorescent lights, and the ceiling fell, and all that was hanging was 50 lights. And you just wrap it around the TV. Then you do the same on the other side.
Now comes the hard part. How are you going to cut the circle in the tile?
Okay, Bob, we insert the tile.
Good thing they're flexible.
Well, it makes it a lot easier moving. Now, I set my ladder back a little, and I take my pencil, and I'm going to scribe a circle on the old housing.
That's a neat way of marking it, Mike. How are you going to cut it?
Well, I'm going to use the keel saw. It has a tendency to tear. You have to be exact.
Nice.
Now I have a perfect circle, Bob.
Yep. Okay, we can put that back.
Get this up. Should line up perfect.
It certainly does. What's next, Mike?
Okay. Now I drop the lamp holder through.
Yeah.
Deb, can I have the recessed housing?
Okay.
All right, now you
How
take
do those
this,
two connect?
spring loaded on each side.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Just insert it into the insert. Can you hear them?
Yeah, so there's no screws to drive or anything to make that connection.
Now, what holds the housing up, then?
Now, as you slide the housing up in, there are 4 spring tension screws. And
so it's held by tension.
Hold it nice and tight. Bob, go for it. Turn the switch when I tell you.
What's that?
All right, Bob, turn the switch on.
Beautiful. Now we got a
We
light.
have a down light.
Mike, thanks a lot for showing us all the tricks of the trade.
Anytime, Bob.
Easy.
Okay. Tell me if I'm going too fast.
Nope, just watch the top there.
All right.
Okay, I'm dying to see how this is going to look in here.
Just put it right here. Okay.
No longer just a hall, huh?
No, Bob, this is a reproduction of a deacon's bench And I just like the idea of going into this room, the feeling of welcome. It's a good spot to rest a basket, your mail, whatever. And on the wall, I've used a dried flower wreath. And I've used a couple of these throughout the room. I think they're nice because they last a long time, they add nature to the decorating scheme, and I think they're interesting, too.
They're elegant. Now, in my house, this could serve as a naughty boy bench, too.
That's right. I tell you, just if you want to dream a little bit, because I know sometimes we're trying to get as much function out of a hallway as we can. This could be used for dinner for 2 or 3 by using one of the gate leg tables.
Oh, and moving the bench out of the way.
Get away from it all, come down and dine out.
Sure. Well, listen, Joe, I think you've done a terrific job.
Thank you.
I think it's time for us to get together with Ben and Debbie and find out what they think about the family room.
Well, I can't wait.
Oh,
It's like Christmas morning. Oh, fantastic.
beautiful. Table.
Well, what do you think?
Oh, this is gorgeous.
Wow.
It really
It
came
really
together
is.
well, didn't it?
Big difference, huh?
All the small
Definitely.
pieces
Look
put together was beautiful.
Yeah, Joe has
Oh,
done
I
a
love
terrific
the
job of
table.
arranging stuff for you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's
Really
got, this is the children's side, no dangerous furniture here. He's already put
storage.
away some of their toys.
Norm did a great job here.
Yeah, and everything's out on display.
Fantastic.
Then
I
over
love
here,
the picture, looks well there.
yeah, it looks beautiful against the textured brick. Then
Oh.
over
This is
here,
our section.
that's your section. That's your half of the
That's
room. And of course, there's a recliner here that I'd like to borrow
That's
for a
mine.
few minutes.
You
This
can
is my
use it.
last visit here. Well, what do you think, guys?
Oh, I
If you
think,
had to do it over again, would you do it over again?
oh,
We able
you
to
give us
time
a
up?
weekend off, maybe?
You haven't had a weekend off in quite a few.
We haven't.
We've been here for 5 half hours on television, but in the real world, how many weeks have you been working on all this?
Over 8.
Over 8, yes.
So how many hours does that figure out to be?
Between us, 400 to 500, we figured.
That's a lot of time. You've done a marvelous job, too. Your workmanship has been very good, but 400 to 500 hours are worth $4,000 to $5,000.
At a minimum.
Easy.
Yeah.
So you've saved yourself that much, but what does the checkbook say? How much has gone out?
Well, I'll let Ben give the news
Debbie
on that.
recorded, and I kept it. We've put out of our pocket about $8,600, and if you count our labor and a few extras, we definitely saved over 40% by doing it ourselves with help.
Now, you haven't gotten the bill for the furniture yet, but still.
No, we haven't.
The real work, you've done very well.
We have.
Congratulations.
Presentation of This Old House is made possible by Weyerhaeuser, providers of building materials, services, and other products that help Americans live better at the same address. Weyerhaeuser.
Thanks for joining us for this special edition of This Old House. And our thanks if you're one of the millions of viewers who help pay for these broadcasts here on public television. We're counting on you to help keep this station in good financial health. So if you haven't made a contribution yet, please call now and make your pledge.
The number to call with your pledge of support is very simple, 923-1234. Call with your pledge of $35 or $40 or $50 or $100 and say yes to This Old House, Bob Vila, Norm Abram, and especially to TV12. Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Vogelsang, and so glad you're with us tonight. You know, this 5-episode collection of This Old House has been one of the most successful that we've ever presented here on TV12. We're very proud of the fact that we were able to bring all of them to you tonight. We hope you enjoyed them as much as we did here at the station. All of us were watching, and I know those of you who are at home are saying, well, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can take on a bathroom project or fix up the basement the way they did in This Old House. That's exactly what we want to happen when you call 923-1234. We have a special challenge tonight, and that is a challenge from the WHYY subscribers. We are going to match, for the next 6 minutes, match every one of your pledges, dollar for dollar. If you pledge $35, we'll get a total of $70. If you pledge $40, we'll get a total of $80. $50, $100. That's the way it works. If you want to pledge $100, we have some special gifts for you. But more importantly, go to the phone right now and call 923-1234. We have some wonderful friends from Coldwell Banker who are here tonight, and they're answering your phone call when you pledge with a pledge of $35 or $40 or $50. 5.5 minutes is left. That's how long it'll take for you to double your money. It's that simple. You can double your money right now. When you call with your pledge, we're going to send you this edition of Homeowner Magazine. It's a special home improvement how-to edition, and it's yours free when you call tonight. But you have to call tonight. If you put it on a credit card or Visa or MasterCard or American Express, it's that much quicker. It'll help us reach our goal that much more quickly. We're looking for $1.2 million. Obviously, you can't do that tonight. Certainly, your $35 or $40 does make a difference and helps us keep on our goal. Right now, you'll double your money when you call with your pledge of support at 923-1234. Call 215-923-1234 and say yes to public television. Say yes to TV12 and say yes to Bob Vila and this whole house. Will you do it right now? 4.5 minutes left to double your money? I know you can do it. Here's David Othmer.
Obviously you can do it. Give us a call, 215-923-1234. You can still get through it. You might have a little trouble on the 215 number. If you do, go to the 800 number, 1-800-225-1234. We've got a terrific group of people here from Coldwell Banker. 2 free offers. One, Homeowners Magazine, this issue, which talks all about the Home Time, the new series of Home Time, giving great detail on each one of those programs. And if you put it on a credit card, this license plate holder says TV12 91 FM WHYY is yours. We've just got 4 minutes to go. Every pledge that you give is doubled. Every dollar that you give us is doubled. We have a fabulous $100 offer for you here. It is 3 Home Time tapes. That's 3 Home Time tapes. One on common home repairs, one on hand and power tools, and one on painting and wallpapering. Those 3 are yours for a pledge of $100. These are not just the regular Home Time series, but expanded versions thereof. They're 45 to an hour and 15-minute long, and they are fabulous. We're coming up on 3 1/3 minutes left to go to say, give us that call. The t-shirt is yours for a pledge of $50. The most important thing is that you give us a call. The basic subscription is $35. You get Applause magazine. For $36, we'll send you the coupon Power Book, which has coupons to hobby stores, to the Phillies games, to restaurants, to theaters, museums, all kinds of great places. That is yours. The important thing for you to do right now, however, is to give us a call. We just got a $100 pledge. That bell meant that. We're coming up on 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, and then we go to this great James Taylor concert. James Taylor, and then at about 10 o'clock tonight, the Faulty Towers Marathon that goes through the night. It's just another fabulous night of programming here on TV12. You may be having trouble getting through at 215. Call us at the 1-800-225-1234 number. Do that right now. Less than 3 minutes to go. Please give us that call. Remember the 3 Home Time videotape, common home repairs. Got to go on the 800 number. We're all filled up here. Thank you for those calls, but give us a call on the 800 number, 1-800-225-1234. The 3 Home Time videotapes are common home repairs, hand and power tools, and painting and wallpapering. That's what you need to get started on any one of these projects. That, and of course, you would also get the homeowner companion book to Home Time. Will tell you about just about any kind of project you want to do. Almost 2 minutes to go. Give us that call. 1-800-225-1234 is the number to call. The t-shirt is fabulous. Mark is enjoying it over here. It's yours for a pledge of $50. The important thing is that you make that call now. Here's Mark.
All right. It's that simple, 923-1234, David. You know, and when you call 1-800-225-1234, we have less than 2 minutes to go. Every pledge up to $2,000 will be doubled. It's that simple. So it's a wonderful deal for you, not only as a subscriber to TV12, and if you've never pledged to TV12 before, do it now and say yes to public television and say yes to Bob Vila and this old house. You know how valuable it is on a Saturday night when you sit down and watch this old house and watch Home Time here on TV12. You know how valuable it is to you. Now we're saying for those pennies a week, pennies a day, call now with your pledge of support. The This Old House t-shirt is a 50% cotton, 50% polyester blend. Specify what size you'd like. Maybe you'd like to give it as a gift, but it's yours when you call at 923-1234 and make a $50 pledge. For every pledge tonight, we're going to give a special edition, special version of Homeowner Magazine, and this is a home improvement how-to edition, which is fantastic. It's a companion guide to Home Time in this old house at 923-1234. We have 1 minute left. If you've ever wanted to double your money, now is the time to do it. Go to the phone, call 1-800-225-1234 and say, I'm going to do it. This is the time that I've wanted to help TV12. Now is the time to do it. 45 seconds. Certainly we can hear from you at 923-1234. We have more great programming still to come. A James Taylor special in concert. I know you're going to like that. Call now, 923-1234. We have a ½ minute left, and you too can help join the growing family of subscribers to TV12. Maybe you've never pledged before and say, well, what's it all about? Take a minute, find out, call one of our volunteers from Coldwell Banker tonight and explain what you want to do. Simply, I want to help TV12. It's that simple. And I think the people by the thousands are calling in and saying yes to public television. And supporting the programming that we offer here, David.
Absolutely. It's terrific. Remember, for $100, we'll send you these three, not one, but these 3 home time videotapes. We're going to James Taylor. We also have a James Taylor album, James Taylor's Greatest Hits, $50. We'll talk to you more about that in a bit. The important thing is you give us a call, and even more important is that you enjoy James Taylor. Coming up next.
Thanks, everyone, and thanks for calling.
Thanks an awful lot.
It's Maureen.
Your pledge at 215-923-1234 will help keep the great programming right here on subscriber-supported TV12.
The broadcast of this program on TV12 is made possible by Wilmington Trust, who invites you to experience the best in public television.